Before we start, the name pops up at the top of the screen. Then that little squirrel looks up at her with tears spilling down, its voice shaking as it begs her, "Are you really going to cure Mama's illness?" The girl sits beside a towering wolf, ancient as the night itself, eyes sharp but silent. Then she tells him, calm as still water, that the medicine will start working soon and that Mama will wake up. A beat slips by, then, right on cue, the tiny squirrel blinks open her eyes, dazed and whispering, "Where am I?" The boy clutches his mother and sobs with pure relief, thanking the heavens over and over. Together, they crane their heads toward the sky. As he tells the girl she's amazing, a soft, radiant smile lights up her face. When people gush that she's a goddess, she just giggles, shakes her head, and shrugs it off like, "Nah, I'm nothing that grand." Meet Luna Lothariel, Farin's only daughter, born to Duke Lothariel in a kingdom guarded by the goddess Siren. Turns out the current her suddenly remembers being Shorori back when she was only 5. She locks eyes with a hand mirror and twists, searching for some sign it's not her, but the face never changes. So this is her, plain and real. She was supposed to be a 30-year-old veterinarian, worn out, yeah, but still fully grown, yet staring back at her is a face way too young to belong to that life. She's completely wrong, she tries to remember, and at first it's a blank void, then bam, everything crashes back at once. That day at work was weirdly calm, and she'd finally gotten her favorite patient for a checkup. After that, she headed home, already daydreaming about her favorite game, until a truck tore it all away. Then wham, a truck screeches up, the door flies open, and her parents step inside. Her mom asks if she's awake and how she's feeling, and she answers. She blurts out answers without even thinking, insisting she's fine, and her mom just nods with relief, telling her the fever's gone, maybe because she crashed and slept for 2 solid days. She watches them chat. Their kindness feels almost familiar, like she's seen it before in a dream, but they're not the parents she remembers. And this definitely is Tokyo. Then her mother suddenly snaps into it, rushes over a book, and tells her the one she'd been waiting for finally showed up this morning. Shirori flips it open. She halts mid-step, and suddenly page after page of strange animals, ones she's never seen in her life, stare right back at her, and every single one feels like it was ripped from a world she can't possibly know. Her mother breezes in like it's nothing, saying she figured it'd be a simple picture book, birds and mammals straight from the forest nearby. Shirori snaps out of it. She doesn't answer at all. In her last life, she was a vet, the kind who reads every animal like a heartbeat, and she's never seen anything like this. The words on the page aren't Japanese, they aren't English. She doesn't get a single word of English, yet somehow she understands everything instantly, like this world has never been hers in the first place. Her mother chuckles under her breath, then tells her father, this book even talks about holy beasts and demonic beasts. Shirori can hardly hear it. She keeps flipping pages, slower now, eyes stretching wide as her heart thunders in her chest. The animal-obsessed part of her screams to meet every single one right away, so yeah, why not? Shirori decides to climb out of the hole, and I'm like, I died somehow, then I live happily in this new world. Honestly, she just wants to keep saving animals as a vet, but the truth is, she can't go back to her old world. Lucky her, she grew up in a warm, loving home, surrounded by a caring mom and dad, and every time she spots those new fluffs in this strange world, she can't help but reach out and embrace them. 11 years later, the prince stands in front of her, finger cutting straight through the air, as she watches a wicked smile creep across the woman's face, and the prince grips his arm, then he slams the news down. He's ending their engagement right here, right now, and he's banishing her from the country too. Like always, she freezes on the spot, trembling with shock and pain, perfectly trapped in the tragic heroine role. Then Luna's voice comes out soft and confused as she blurts, "Why are you saying this? Did I do something unforgivable to Prince Gerald?" Gerald just scoffs, claiming he's already dug into everything Isabel told him. She stacked every one of her crimes like trophies, snubbing everyone just because she was a duke's daughter, using someone's engagement like a leash to make them fall in line, and then tormenting poor Isabel over and over until it finally brought us to this moment. Now the villain flips the script. She pretends she's the poor victim, bats her eyes all innocent, and declares she would never abuse Gerald Sama's love her. Her voice is so sweet it practically hurts your teeth, and she even claims that if she ever became queen, she'd wipe the country clean. Wait, what? Luna blurts it out on instinct, totally rattled. When did she ever say stuff like that? A tense hush rolls through the crowd as whispers start flying. Maybe she's faking it. Maybe Gerald and Isabel are right after all. They've had it with Luna's overbearing attitude. She doesn't even get what's happening, not one bit. She's never done anything like this before, and the prince straightens up. With arrogance blazing off him, he declares he's got the whole country's weight sitting on his shoulders, then snaps that she isn't good enough to stand by him and orders her to leave right now. The bite in his voice vanishes the second he turns toward the woman clinging to him, his face melting as he pulls her into a tight embrace, and then it crashes into Luna. She jolts in shock, suddenly seeing the truth. Isabel didn't just want Gerald, she pulled him around like he was hers to command. She always clung to the prince at school, and deep down she knew she only liked other people's stuff. She says she gets it, then tells him she'll leave this country the second it's done, and all she asks is that he lays a hand on nothing tied to her family. The prince growls, fine, because in his mind she's the only one he needs to blame. And if she vanishes, he swears the ducal household won't get touched. She flashes an annoyingly sweet smile and blurts, "Thank you," like she owns the moment, then promises her luggage will be back the second she gets home. And as soon as she closes the door, she swears she'll never lay eyes on his face again. Back at home. At home, she snatches her luggage and fumes at the whole world pressing in on her. Her father demands, "Are you really walking out alone?" He offers to set up an escort. She just shakes her head. If anyone goes with her, they'll have to vanish from the country forever too. Her mother twists her face in a deep frown, so intense it even shocks the prince. She's never messed up a day in her life, so this punishment feels cruel beyond reason. Jorori shoots her mother a gentle, comforting smile and whispers for her not to cry. Sure, she'd always dreamed of traveling the world anyway, honestly. Honestly, she's just relieved she won't have to marry that man, because ever since they first picked her, having to call herself the crown princess has felt like breathing through chains. Her father's face tightens with worry, and yeah, this whole thing feels off. He swears he'll do everything he can to smash the verdict. Meanwhile, her mother pulls her into a fierce hug and tells her to stay safe until he comes through. Jorori stands beside her wife, towering like a wolf, and demands that she's counting on him. Her father breaks into a smile, like he's finally hearing every word she can't quite say. Her mother chimes in that she always believed they'd understand each other, and her father points out the truth. They've been living under the same roof since she was 6. Sylvain is basically her little brother, so yeah, they know each other's feelings just like that. Shori flashes a smirk because yep, that's exactly what she's been saying this whole time. She's got it figured out, just like her mother says. She can even understand what the animals are saying, and lately she's been acting just like a little kid. Even if they swear she's lying, this is no game, because ever since then, it's gone way too far. Once she snapped back her memories from her past life, a wild new power burst to life inside her. She discovers her powers, like the ability to talk to animals, and the wolf wastes no time telling her the prince is a total idiot. How dare he kick Luna out? Then he turns to her and demands, why would he do that? She just shrugs at him like, even if you say that, we can't change a thing. And truth be told, she's almost giddy. Her engagement is annulled and she feels a huge weight lift off her shoulders. The wolf grumbles that he hates him too, but hey, at least thanks to him, he gets to ride around with her ever since. Ever since she arrived in this world, she's never heard a single person who can actually talk to animals, so she's convinced it's a reincarnated power. Then the wolf leans in and asks where she wants to go. She pauses for a heartbeat, then bursts out that she's been dying to visit the kingdom of Eddie Fan, right there to the east of Harem. Eddie Fan, right? He asks, and she snaps back. Beastmen live in that country, looking almost human but with animal ears and tails, and she's been dreaming of that place her whole life. In her old life, the beastmen only lived on the pages of storybooks, so as an animal lover, she feels driven to meet every last one. The wolf flashes a grin and says, all right, this is about to be a wild ride. She's thinking, so much has already happened, but since we're finally setting off on this journey, we might as well soak it all in. Then she grins, this forest's gotta be crawling with brand new animals, with fluffy little cuties just waiting to be met and played with. Her eyes flash with excitement and she practically drools at the thought, because honestly she can't stand being this far from him another second. She tells him, let's go, and he bolts off running as she scrambles onto his back, gripping tightly as they surge forward. She grips the moment with a death grip, and before they know it, they stumble upon a shimmering lake. She can't look away, it's breathtaking, until she suddenly goes still like the world just stopped because something out there has caught her eye. She tells him to pause, then her ears twitch and snap to attention, catching that faint, heartbreaking crying in the distance. He jabs a finger and yells that it's coming from over there, so they'd better go check it out right now, following that sound wherever it leads. They stumble into a small clearing where a young white-eared squirrel shrieks for her mother to wake up over the crashing roar of the sea. Seeing the tugs on her heart, she instantly knows something's wrong. Then she calls out, asking the little squirrel what happened. A squirrel screeches that mom's sick. Her eyes flare wide the second she spots red dots crawling over her mother's body. She drops to her knees, begs to examine her for a moment, instincts kicking in fast. The moment it kicks in, it hits with a chilling precision. This disease targets only white squirrels. Good news, she's got an anti-inflammatory medicine stuffed in her bag. The little squirrel blurts out, shaking hard, that Mama's pain has been getting worse every single day this week, and she can't even stop herself from asking if her mom is going to die. Then she snaps her head up, denies it with a fierce shake, and declares that she's incredible and that she'll heal Mama. Thanks to the medical book her dad bought her, she knows exactly what to do. This medicine will drive the disease out fast, and her mom. The mother squirrel snaps her eyes open and scans her surroundings, barely holding on but alive, and then she notices it. The red spots were already starting to fade. The medicine was working. Madison is clocked in and she's going to be fully better in no time. Right on cue, the little squirrel hops up, cheers her on, and thanks her like, "You're amazing," even comparing her to a saintess, and then it adds that everyone strolls through this forest, but she's never managed to talk to any of them until now. She's telling Corina it's pure luck they caught the disease before it went too far, and if the symptoms flare up again, all Mama needs is a little of Corina's food. The mom squirrel leans in, demands her name, then introduces herself as Mel, while her daughter Rin stands right beside her, and they swap hellos like it's the start of a brand new adventure. Mel leans in and says she must know medicine and diseases inside and out. Then she grins and admits it's basically an old job from her past life. After her memories came back, she threw herself into studying animals so she could help them no matter what kind of suffering hit them. And honestly, thank her luck, every bit of it is finally paying off right now. The tiny squirrel blurts out, "I want to give you something as a thank you." Out of nowhere, she springs up into the tree and hurls the treasure straight into Luna's hands, right as Luna. Gasps burst from her as she stares in pure shock. There it is, shining and glittering in the sunlight like a dream. "Can I really have this?" she whispers. "Of course," the squirrel chirps, puffing with pride. Luna's mom's savior, after all. A bright, blossoming grin takes over her face and her eyes sparkle like 1,000 fireworks. She'll cherish it because the mother is snatching the moment right away, and Squirtle suddenly pops up and blurt out that she wants to give something too. Luna chuckles softly and tells her to relax, but the squirrel whips her head side to side, fierce as lightning. No way, she won't accept it. Because if Luna hadn't stepped in, who knows what might have happened to her, and she's not letting no stand. Then she pauses, thinking hard. She takes a thoughtful pause, her eyes lighting up like she just cracked the perfect plan. "Could I introduce you to everyone in this forest?" she blurts out, practically vibrating with excitement, because she loves every fluffy animal and wants to be friends with all of them. Sure, the reply comes fast, and then, after a quick thought, she decides the best place to start is Baron Sama first. He blurts out that he's massive and the king of this forest, and the whole place adores him, so she's going to run over, grab him for everyone, and be back before you can blink. Luna's cheeks blaze and a sweet little laugh slips out. Her gaze snaps with pure excitement at the king of the forest. She can already picture him, huge, fluffy, regal, and standing tall like he owns the world, and her heart just jumps in her chest. What animal could he be? She can't stop fizzing with curiosity, and the thought of meeting him has her whole heart buzzing. Then the giant beast snarls at her, eyes razor bright, and basically says, "You want to be my friend? Ha." His tone drips with mockery. She just stands there, rigid as a statue, terrified to even breathe, while he declares he'll never be friends with a human and tells her to know her place. That demonic beast, this giant boar, she'd only seen it in a book, but she never expected it to be this massive, and now she's sure it's Baron Sama, the king of. She dashed into the forest, buzzing with hope to meet some new fluffy friend. She never expected rejection. She drops to her knees, pleading softly for him to let her be his friend, but he snarls and shuts her down. Then Mel leans in and speaks low, swearing Luna really did the cure and that she's the kind of person you can trust. He just rams his massive head side to side like, "Not much we can do." Luna fires back that because she can talk to animals and beasts, it doesn't mean they'll instantly become her friends. She flicks her eyes around, and there it is. Sheep, rabbits, and even white-haired monkeys are all posted with tents, standing guard like they mean business. Humans must be insanely rare, and just as she realizes it, the big beast suddenly stumbles and her gaze snaps straight back to him and her heart drops like a rock. She barrels forward. "What happened? Are you hurt?" He shoots her a dismissive grunt, waving her off like it's nothing, swearing it isn't serious. But Luna can't let it go, she begs, offering to help if he's hurt. He snaps back on the spot, swearing he'll never trust humans, then barks at her to leave the forest right now. Luna flinches at the brutality in his voice, yet she still dares to murmur, "If you hate humans that much, why?" He snaps back that humans are selfish, stuck in their own beliefs, and then a sharp voice cuts in, like they just can't possibly understand what she's really thinking. A sharp voice slices through the air. Sylvain speaks, stone solid, and he insists Luna isn't the kind of person who'd do that. All eyes snap to him as he tells a story from ages ago, how he was left badly injured, and Luna was the only one who rushed in to help him. After all that, she still treats him the same, holy beast or not, and he's never even laid eyes on the reward. She treats him like a true friend, no strings attached. The beast won't quit. It snarls that it won't back down, no matter what he says, and nothing will make it change its mind. Then out of nowhere, dizziness slams into him and he stumbles. Luna's heart jolts. She darts to his side and demands, voice shaking, "Are you okay?" She drops to her knees, checks the wound, and her eyes go wide at just how bad it is because she can't see. She can't stand it like this. She swears the wound runs deep, tells him not to worry, and promises she'll fix it. Then he finally draws a shaky breath. He snarls heavily and insists that even if she fixes it, it won't change a thing. This wound was carved by humans, and he's not letting any other human lay hands on him again. Shock hits her hard. What does he mean? She blurts out, "Demonic beasts are rare, they need protecting." Then a tiny white-haired monkey steps up, lowering his gaze, and he tells her straight, it was a poacher. Those giant boar tusks are worth a fortune, so poachers hunt even the Baron himself, and when he got hurt, it wasn't random at all. A crew of poachers came for revenge. She leans in and demands, "Who are you?" He lives right around here, so he's always running into poachers. They keep rambling, totally missing the point, but somehow it clicks. By the end, he finally figures out what's really going on. Jean says the prince from a nearby country sent this final crew to scoop up the biggest tusks they could, an engagement gift, and they were already way past their deadline. He couldn't even sit still. Pure greed had him buzzing, and he was sure they were about to rake in a fortune. Sylvain shoots a quick look at her and asks if she thinks the neighboring Gerald's the prince of the country, and she nods like she's sealing their fate. Gods, a tight knot clenched in her stomach. It has to be him. This forest sits inside the Ed Fan's territory, and he's the only one from a neighboring country who dare give an order that stupid. Of course, Ho Chiang is banned by law in Farin too, but she's heard that people were secretly buying and selling furniture and goods made from tusks and furs. Scenes, can you believe it? The Crown Prince was about to shatter that law, and Furine and Eddie Fan are supposed to be allies too, if Eddie Fan finds out the Farin prince has been poaching inside Eddie Fan, and the king refuses to stay quiet. After this, relations between the two countries are going to turn bitter fast. "What's that dumb prince even planning?" he muttered under his breath. Farmers, he couldn't even drive the poachers out, so now even that monster was siding with them, and the thought made his stomach drop. Both Luna and Sylvain suddenly go rigid, their hearts hammering. Wait, that beast, what is he even talking about? Luna's senses sharpen, and even the wolf's ears snap toward the danger. He lunges in front of her, guarding her with his body, and calls her name in a low, urgent voice. She. He feels it too. Someone's closing in, and the rabbits turn their faces. Fear rips through the crowd as the beast sniffs the air, growls like thunder, and thinks, what idiots, they really came back, and they still haven't quit. Squirrels huddle together while Rin sobs and screams for her mother in pure terror. Nervous rabbits murmur back and forth like something's about to snap, and the little monkey just hangs there looking utterly disappointed. Pointed and terrified, all they could do was pray they'd get out of there fast. Baron S. and struggles to rise, every move dragging like stone. Rabbits scream that he can't fight like this, but he snaps his head up anyway, pride blazing through him, reminding himself he's the king of this forest, because if he won't protect them, who will? Luna strides up with steel in her eyes. If he's going to fight, she's going to stand beside him because she can heal everyone in an instant. And then Baron starts. He starts to say there's no way she could, but Sylvain snarls through his teeth, yelling that she can, no, that he has to believe in her, while the animals band together, roaring in perfect unison, urging Baron to finally let her help. They want her to heal him, siphon out her power, and build him back up. Baron makes sure they're ready, because this time they're taking down the poachers for good. Baron hesitates with his jaw clenched, then finally caves in and admits it. She can heal that wound. Relief hits Luna hard and a small smile blooms across her face, but inside her head everything races. Taming animals is one power, sure, but this is something even weirder. Luna flicks into her skill selection mode, letting her pull skills straight from the game she once couldn't quit. She picks the healing skill Egic. GK was an RPG where players could sling all kinds of skills, and she's still not sure if she mastered it from grinding or if it's a cheat, but in this world she's suddenly unleashing everyone she knew. Attack, recovery, and defensive. Light bursts out from the wound's spot, flooding everything in its glow. In the blink of an eye, it snaps shut tight, and the rabbits throw their hands up, gasping because even the swelling is gone. It's a total shock, like the world just pulled off real magic in front of your eyes. He knows this skill can't cure illnesses like Mel's, but for an open wound it works like magic, perfect. And no matter how hard Baron tried to keep everyone safe, he couldn't keep fighting with an injury like that. She asks if he can stand, and he slowly pushes himself up, testing his legs as he rises. He twists his power, locks eyes with her, and declares that he owes this little girl a debt. Then Luna shakes her head with a gentle smile, telling him she's just relieved to see him back whole again, and that all he has to do is focus on crushing the intrusion. Intruders, Sylvain snaps back that they'll help too, and she keeps her skill detection blazing. If she's right, they're close. Then she spots them, 2 humans and a beast. She thinks they can take them down just in time. Just in case, she fires off the blessing skill. Baron asks, and the tension spikes. Asks what this power even is, then hit. The air inside him feels lighter, his body brimming with raw power. Then Sylvain suddenly snaps a terrifying warning, roaring at everyone to look straight ahead. Right on cue, a colossal double-headed hound crashes out of the trees and rockets toward them. Baron snaps into action, barrels in front of Luna without a second thought, and yells for her to dodge, then swings with raw power, snatches the beast out of midair and hurls it aside as its howl. The hound rams the tree trunk with a thunderclap impact, and shock jolts across his face, because that wound isn't supposed to be healed yet. Baron swore the beast would finally be beaten down, then it hit him. The monster looks stronger than ever. Wait, how? Baron straightens up, towering with pride, and mutters that he hates admitting it, but a rock-solid goddess is backing him now. Now Luna swears she's glad the blessing is a skill, one that shows off every target stat like it's the main attraction. It's working. Then out of nowhere, a man lifts his bow and locks his aim on her, and right then, Sylvain surges forward, slamming into another man. Man lunges in and slams him into the dirt, but Luna doesn't blink. She yanks out her magic bow and fires first, an arrow hitting clean. Then she declares she won't let anyone lay a hand on her companions. He grips his throbbing, injured hand, freezes in shock staring at her, and blurts out, "Who are you?" Her holy arrow won't smash through walls, but it always lands exactly where it needs to no matter what. It hits the mark, and she never imagined she'd ever have to use her attack skills until she tells him. Poaching is a felony, so she decides to turn them in to the authorities, because she's terrified of the trouble that would hit if anyone ever found out Gerald gave the order, and she can't ignore something this serious. Sylvain nonchalantly snatches the man by the collar, hauling him up and clamping him in his mouth like a wolf dragging away a wild troublemaker. His posture doesn't tense at all, just a little annoyance, like he casually let Luna know someone else is closing in, strutting over with way too much lazy confidence, and he even points out that their people are coming for Luna. Luna snaps a blink and asks if they're with the poachers, and Sylvain immediately shakes his head. His scent screams no, totally different from those guys, not muddy and sneaky at all, but honestly kind of pleasant. A bunch of people are coming this way. Luna freezes, then shoots a thought. If they're not enemies, she'd better play it smart. It's better to show them respect. Then a sharp voice slices through the forest, demanding, "What's going on here?" Luna freezes, then whips her head toward the noise, breath snagging the second she spots them. Her eyes blow wide, her cheeks flare bright red, and her mouth almost waters on its own. Beastman, a real, living one, right there in front of her at the great temple of. Marine's furious roar rips through the air, and the holy beast demands, cold as steel, if this is some kind of joke. He towers over the altar while the prince and his lover kneel below, shaking in fear. And he snarls that they're fools, so tell him, is the prince really claiming he kicked Luna out of this country? The prince snaps rigid and rushes to insist the beast must be wrong. Luna, he shouts, is a nightmare villainess who's racked up countless sins against the innocent maiden Isabel. Then he starts to talk again. He bursts in to proudly announce that Isabel is his new fiancée. Then the holy beast falls silent as its stare needles him, and he leans in to tell everything. It tells the prince to shut up, because if he throws another insult at Luna, Isabel says she won't stand for it. Isabel drops her gaze, her hands trembling, realizing the holy beast that guards this country is way more terrifying than she ever pictured. The beast drops the truth they never saw coming. Luna saved his son, Sylvain, once before, and for the sake of this country, she even let a shallow prince stand beside her as her fiancé. The prince just freezes, stunned out of his mind, while Luna, the girl who once benefited the holy beast's child, keeps smiling like she always knew more than everyone else. The beast confirms it. When Luna finds out Sylvain is a holy beast, she never begs for payment. She never even shifts her attitude. She treats his son like nothing less than a real friend. That kindness hooks Sylvain, and he won't leave her side for anything. The prince sputters, scrambling for excuses, saying Luna never took his love seriously and that she treated their engagement. Then it hits right on cue. The holy beast's paw slams down and crushes the prince to the floor in an instant. The whole temple erupts in shocked gasps. Isabel shrieks, begs for mercy, then whips around and dumps all the blame on the prince. She insists it was all his call to banish Luna, swearing she had zero part in it. The prince freezes in disbelief and explodes, yelling that he only obeyed what Isabel demanded. She shoots back instantly, no talk, no request, and she didn't even ask for that engagement. In that same breath, all the prince can do is lash out at her betrayal. The holy beast sneers as Isabel tries to toss him aside the moment she feels cornered. And again, the prince stares her down in shock, shouting that he only did what Isabel told him to do. The queen strides forward and begs the beast to spare them after their reckless son's stunt, and the king jumps in right behind her, pleading that at least the prince's life be spared, promising they'll bring Luna back immediately. The beast finally caves in and gives them one shot: retrieve Luna, drop to your knees, and beg for her forgiveness. Then his eyes snap to Isabel and he declares her guilty too. He orders her to leave the country at once and help Gerald hunt Luna, and Isabel recoils in terror, blurted out, "Why do I have to do that?" He snaps that both of them share the blame for Luna's expulsion, and with a chilling smirk says they might as well bend to him and become prey beneath his claws. Isabel freezes, then bows her head at once, blurting out that she understands. The holy beast leans in and flat out says he's demanding results. Nothing less than a blinding flash detonates around them, power snapping tight over their bodies. The beast declares this light is the mark of the oath they just swore, and wherever they run, he'll always know exactly where they are. He flat out tells them not even to dream about escaping. Outside the temple, the prince slams his fist into the wall, rage surging out as he hurls curses. So what if he's the crown prince? He's still standing there, humiliated, and Isabel sneers right next to him, saying he's really crying over something this small. At least he hasn't been expelled or had his status ripped away, and that's all that matters. Now he has to find Luna because Isabel swears the next punishment is going to be brutal. He snaps at her to stop talking and blasts that it's all her fault. Isabel only. She nearly smirks, calls him a foolish man, and points out that he's the one who fell in love with her selfishly. Then she shrugs like it means nothing. She shrugs and tells him he's useless now that he's not the crown prince, and she makes it crystal clear Luna will never bow to someone like him. She'll claw out another way to survive. The prince freezes, stares her down, and barks for answers. What do you mean? She's already got a plan, and her smirk stretches wider. She asks why she'd ever spill anything to someone as incompetent as him. His asterisk. Rage erupts in his chest and he snaps, demanding to know what she just said. But Isabel turns her back and strides off, not looking back once. Then fury contorts her face as she seethes that Luna's the reason she's hurting. In silence, she vows that Luna will pay for this someday. Meanwhile, Luna stood there completely frozen, her face blazing red with shock. No way, she never thought she'd run into a beastman here, and the worst part, he was alive. Even among the beastmen, a Y without a tail and a blue wolf spirit are so rare you almost never see them, she says her name is Luna, but can she go up to them and demand why they're here? Out of nowhere, his eyes lock on her, then he jerks her in so fast she has no time to react, shouting that they're here to apprehend her, and honestly, he never expected to find a woman teaming up with poachers. Luna stumbles backward and snaps that they've got it all wrong, but he brushes her off hard, telling her they can deal with her excuses later. Aloha. A dangerous growl snarls right beside her, and Sylvain slams himself between them, shoving the man back while barking that he needs to let her go now. The monkey surges in too, claiming Sylvain's mistaken and that she isn't a poacher. The squirrel jumps in too, insisting that Luna saved them all. Then the rabbits rush in. Rabbits suddenly lunge forward and start pounding his face with their tiny paws, and the pure outrage on his face explodes as he barks. "What do you think you're doing?" Another beastman quickly. He stepped inside, shouted at Alex, and insisted he couldn't believe she was a poacher, because the whole scene felt unreal. The animals stood right in front of her, and if she really was hunting them, why didn't they tear into her the way they did the two men lying unconscious right nearby? The rabbits snap into action, and their voices get louder as they agree. Luna never hurt a single one of them. She fought right alongside them to smash the poachers and help them escape. Alex's frown deepens, irritation blazing across his face because he can't understand animal speech at all, so all he hears is pointless noise mixed with the word cooperated, and yeah, that sounds completely absurd to him. There's no way animals would buy that a human is actually helping them, and the more Luna insists she can talk to animals, the more Alex pushes back. Humans don't get animals, and animals definitely won't trust a Luna's promise. Alex fires back a long, unblinking stare, his face dead still, and then he finally mutters that she's an insanely strange woman, asking what kind of nonsense she's talking. Luna finally snaps right on the inside, and it all spills out. What an unbelievably rude man. She seethes, clutching her anger, absolutely disgusted, thinking, what the heck is wrong with this guy? He feels the tremble in the shoulders next to him, whips around fast, and snaps, demanding to know what Luke finds so hilarious. Luke jerks upright, blurts an apology, and says he's just stunned, because it's wildly rare for anyone to openly hate the usually adored Royal Alexander. The color. A shock drains from Luna's face in an instant. "Your Royal Highness, Alexander," and then Luke steps forward and blurts out an apology. He jumps in with his name, Luke, and then sweeps a hand toward the guy next to him, announcing in full formal glory that this is His Highness, Prince Alexander. Then they hit the point. They're on the case, and a serious incident is what they're investigating. Luna blinks, then asks what incident they mean, and Alexander scoffs on the spot, snapping that she must be an idiot if she thinks they'll spill confidential details to someone they don't even know. Luna's temper detonates. She lunges at him, yelling that he can't just call her an idiot, and blasts him for insulting people the instant he meets them. Then a shocked gasp rips out of her as both hands fly to her mouth. She just screamed at a prince, so Luke immediately steps in. Luna nods, saying she isn't wrong, and then she pours out a sincere apology for what the prince said, while Alexander even pauses, then mutters one too. Luna just freezes, staring at him like she can't believe it, because this prince is nothing like Gerald. Then Alexander pushes forward, saying he wants to hear every detail of the poacher attack and asks if she'll come with them back to Ediphalia. Luna doesn't hesitate for a second. She snaps her agreement on the spot because Ediphalia is the capital of Ediphan, and she was headed there anyway, so teaming up with their investigation is exactly what she needed. The animals rush around her, frantic and staring, demanding to know if these new men are enemies too. Luna shakes her head and tells them they're not. She says she has to talk with them and that she'll be riding with them into the city, then she warns it's time to say goodbye. The animals snap back, refusing to swallow it. They swear she's lying and insist the men are setting her up to be thrown in prison right alongside the poachers. Luna repeats it one last time. It's time to say goodbye. It's okay, they didn't come here for themselves. They came to defend the forest for everyone, but... Then boom, they announce they're going with her. Luna just freezes, stunned to the bone, while the animals start to squirm. Fidgeting like crazy around Luna, they blurt out they don't want to say goodbye, even while another rabbit snaps that it won't follow that scary-faced man anywhere, because they're ready to guard her no matter what. Luna, still kneeling a little, just smiles warmly and tells them it's fine, not to worry. She tells the Baron to speak with them, and he immediately bows his head with an apology, then orders Luna to let the animals choose for themselves. Luna has already become one of their own, and their worry for her is the real deal, and now she's on the next step. She gives a quiet nod, swallowing the truth he just laid out, then she finally admits it. Swears to herself she won't abandon a single person, and then she asks if it's okay for these kids to tag along to Ediphalia, and Luke lights up with a grin. He's completely fine with it. They're more than welcome to bring all their friends, while the prince mutters that they can do whatever they want, barons. He steps forward, thanks Luna, and tells her to look after everyone. Then she grins back at him like the moment just lit up. He stands there and she reassures him that she's got it covered. He even admits he might have misread her at first, but he's still thrilled he met her. Then he quietly hopes she'll come back someday to visit. Luna's grin blooms as she beams down and swears she'll do it. Later, inside the carriage, she scoots forward and murmurs, "Alexander-sama." He just stares blankly like, "You really shouldn't get so kind out of nowhere." "Alex is fine," she says, then presses the real question. Is she actually allowed to speak to royalty so impolitely? And she won. The Wonders explain why he's out there in the forest, then he snaps back that he came to investigate the incident. She can't help herself and presses him, "So why are you here, and where did you come from?" She tightens her brows, thinking there's no way she can ever admit she once was the crown princess's fiancé in Faring, especially after getting kicked out of the kingdom, and then Luna blurts it out. "I used to live in Faring, but I left for Eddie Fan to find a new job." As soon as they roll up to Ethiophalia, Luna leans right into the carriage window, and the animals crowd in, their little faces and ears twitching with pure awe. The rabbits burst out in disbelief that the wall is massive, while the squirrels squeal with joy, shouting that it's absolutely incredible. Sylvain hammers on Luna's name, beckoning her to stare at something far off. She whirls around, eyes sparkling, and demands to know what he's pointing at, only for her gaze to catch what Sylvain wants her to see. Luna's eyes snap to another carriage rolling down the street, a poacher's cart. They're left wondering if they've been dragged here on Gerald's orders too. He shoots her a quick look and tells her the poachers have been multiplying lately. Then he points at that carriage and says it's probably another squad of knights that just hauled a poacher in. Alexander's face hardens and anger flashes in his eyes as he snarls that even though they know who the mastermind is, they still can't act. Luke stays calm and shuts it down. Without real evidence, they're powerless to intervene, and Luna France stands there. He frowned, totally baffled. So besides Gerald, who else is sending out requests about poachers? And why are these people untouchable? Not even the royal family can lay a hand on them. Sylvain's nose flares at once like something yanked his instincts. He mumbles, "This isn't right," and then catches a strange, metallic scent of blood drifting from that way. Luna snaps rigid, her heart stuttering as she blurts out what's happening over there to Luke and Alexander. Luke jabs his finger toward the castle gate and says they'll be here any moment. She tells them. Alexander shoots her a skeptical look. She's still insisting she can talk to animals. But before he can push it, Luke snaps him to wait because the air smells like blood, like something serious just happened. Right there, a whole cluster. A tight pack of guards tightens up near the gate, and the prince finally snaps that they should check, just in case. He orders Luna to stay back for now, and the rabbit. They squeak in perfect sync, voices trembling as they call for her, then admit they're terrified. Luna whispers back that she's scared too, so they... Mulvin blurts out what she's planning to do, and she admits she's a little freaked out by the blood he caught in the air, then her thoughts trail off. She's convinced that if someone's hurt, she can help them, so she steps out to check, then barks at Sylvain to stay with the animals and keep everyone safe while she peeks around. She steps outside and the whole world snaps into focus. Then she freezes mid-stride as a furious man starts screaming, demanding to know what she's doing while he refuses to let anyone pass her. Her eyes snap wide as she spots it, an injured unicorn sprawled near the castle gate, and that man. The man mutters that he pulled this beast out of poachers with his own hands and swore to guard it ever since, because if a unicorn dies right at the castle gates, the other unicorns will believe the humans were the ones who killed it. Alexander's eyes flare with fury as he spits a curse at the Chancellor, and the Chancellor fires back, asking if the prince will actually take responsibility when the unicorns come roaring in for revenge. After all, he tried to stop this by catching the poachers. Then Luna's voice cuts in, soft but urgent, calling out to Luke, and Luke asks why she came out here. She admits she couldn't shake the worry over the blood Sylvain mentioned, then turns the question on him. So what's going on? Luke claims he's Editin's Chancellor and Duke Barrafield, then reminds her they're hunting poachers, and right there he throws down against them. If they'd only find proof, they could finally shut him down, she's thinking. He's convinced this is the same guy they discussed earlier, while she hesitates to speak up, because she knows Gerald has been ordering people to poach, and the shock hits hard when she realizes the Chancellor is doing it too. Right now, he's basically trying to shove the unicorn through the gates, weaponizing the fear that other unicorns will strike back to force it. But in truth, he's hunting to slaughter the unicorn, then flip its body parts for profit, and the Chancellor demanded the prince stop this chaos and let him pass with that animal, before this whole thing blew up and it looked like the prince was about to answer. With the clock ticking, he blurts that it's going to die soon no matter what. He's convinced that when the unicorns return to strike back, His Highness will stand up, accept the blame, and slaughter every last one. Rage flashes across Alex's face as he spits out a curse, and Luna can't wrap her head around it. She's seen him harm that child just to pad his own pockets, and now he's even toying with tossing every bit of blame onto Alex. She snaps right on the spot. She bursts into a furious scream, swearing she won't let it happen, convinced she can save that child, and then she tells them. She promised she'd heal that child, then Alex shouted her name. In total shock, he snaps at her and demands to know why she's here, then orders her to leave, because this isn't her business. She tells him she can't, in good conscience, walk away from an injured animal sitting right in front of her. Then she snaps that if the man won't let her go in and heal that child, she'll heal them both right here. Because she's not from this country, it sounds like there's no problem with her handling them outside the capital's gates. Yet the way he looks torn up says it all. Can she really pull it off, and what happens if she fails? He shoots back with unwavering grit. She won't fail, and she'll add, absolutely save him, because that's the whole point. Then he snaps his eyes shut and orders her to go for it. No second chances. The prince barks a command. Luke, support her. Luke rockets to her side without a single beat of doubt, and just like that, the moment to see the prince is gone. The Chancellor lets out a low chuckle, eyes glinting as he scoffs that it's downright fascinating what a little girl like her could possibly pull off, and he makes it crystal clear that if she fails, it's His Highness who will be blamed. The prince doesn't even flinch. He straight up declares loud and clear that he'll take responsibility. She steps toward the fallen unicorn, and the second her eyes lock on the full damage, her face collapses with shock. Those wounds are brutal, and you can only imagine how terrifying it was when he got attacked. Luke drops to his knees beside her as she says it looks like a vicious hound monster attack. Then she demands the first thing first. Stop the bleeding. She apologizes, then quickly admits the truth. Every medical herb is already gone, but she waves him off and tells him to leave it to her, even without herbs, she can still kick her healing skill into action. Luke just freezes in shock. His breath snaps to a stop as he stares at the wound sealing itself under her touch, eyes bulging in disbelief. Then he blurts out. She leans in and demands who this person really is. Then she blurts out a quiet apology, saying she can't explain anything right now. Suddenly, the unicorn's ear flicks, then a tiny sound slips from its mouth as it softly calls for its father, whispering, "Are you there?" She breaks free. Freezes, her heart trips inside her chest, then he jolts back to consciousness. Thank goodness, relief floods her and she grabs him tight, begging him to stay with her, to hold on. He's going to be okay. She vows she'll make sure he sees his father again, no matter what. She introduces herself as Leona and softly asks for his name, taking 2 brutal, wheezing breaths before he finally forces the words out. Fuel, his voice barely a whisper. Then she hugs him. He squeezes him even tighter, praising the name as wonderful, but his body won't stop trembling. Shock has him wrecked from the sheer blood he's lost. His eyes flutter shut again, and she panics, screaming his name and pleading for him to open his eyes. Luke lays a comforting hand on her shoulder and murmurs that she's done enough already. She's a kid, and he can't force the rest of the sentence out. The words die in his throat. The Chancellor strides forward, taunting her with venom as he says it looks like she couldn't stop the unicorn from dying. Then he whips around and orders the prince to step down, pointing the finger straight at him. It's his fault, his responsibility, and now, just like that, the prince is dead. The unicorns won't just stand there and do nothing. He snaps around to the guards and orders them to haul the corpse into the city. Eddie Fan's name is stained for good. Rage erupts in her and she screams at him to shut up, then snaps that the unicorn isn't dead. Seething with offense, the Chancellor snaps back, demanding to know if this brat even realizes who she's talking to. Then she calmly tells Luke to step aside and, if anything goes wrong, to protect those animals with his life. Blinding flash explodes out of her body out of nowhere. Luke and the prince gawk in pure shock as the light blazes brighter and brighter. She's triggering the sacrifice skill. A forbidden move, one that drains the user's vitality straight into a dying target, never used because the risk is brutal, but she has no choice. With tears in her voice, she begs him to answer, to open his eyes. It's time, she whispers. We're going back to your papa. The moment his father's name hits him, his eyes slowly peel open, and he whispers one word, Papa. She scoops him into a warm, gentle hug, nodding as she tells him, yes, everything's going to be okay. Then she promises they'll head back to his papa together, and from his trembling mouth, a tiny, weak voice slips into her ear as he calls her, Big Sister. Witnesses stand there, stunned stiff, then burst into shaky whispers. The unicorn is alive again, a full-blown miracle. This had to be a miracle, something her own eyes just witnessed that shouldn't even be possible. Right beside her, the Chancellor stands frozen, face stiff and drained of color. Then snap, he lashes out, screaming it's impossible, swearing there's no way an injury like that could have been healed. She barely catches his words. A shaky whisper slips out of her mouth as she breathes, "Thank goodness, it's all fine now." But the moment she blurted those words, every drop of color fled her face. Then her knees gave out and she pitched forward like gravity won. Alexander snapped into action, lunged in, and caught her before she could slam to the ground. He steadies her in his arms and murmurs under his breath that, against all odds, she's a reckless corrector. Darkness swallows her whole, then she jerks her eyes open, and the ceiling above her looks nothing like home. Confusion slams into her mind as she whispers, "Where am I?" and slowly turns her head. Her head jerks up and everything goes still. The animals swarm around her bed, staring like they're holding their breath, and the second they clock that she's awake, they explode into cries all at once. Mel and Rin broke down in tears of pure relief, and Sylvain stepped in close to whisper that she'd been out cold for 2 entire days. Then dread hit hard when she finally understood why, and her chest went tight. She must have blacked out from the sacrifice skill, and right as that thought hits, the maid bursts into the room, her face lighting up the instant she sees her eyes open. The maid blurts that she's so relieved she's awake, and then she starts to explain. She's in the royal castle right now, tucked inside the annex room meant for His Highness, the second Prince, Alexander. She tells them the doctor already warned her. The Saintess pushed herself way too hard, and that's why she's in this state. So the moment those words landed, everyone wasted no time and summoned the doctor straight here. She pauses, then bows with grace and rushes out an apology for the late introduction. "I'm Mina. As long as she's in the castle, Mina will handle every need, so don't stress." Mina thanks her softly, then stops, eyes lingering, before finally asking who this Saintess really is. Mina shoots a surprised look at the question and snaps back, "It's me, obviously." Her face freezes into total shock, and then, when she remembers saving a unicorn that was moments from death, the reason hits like a thunderclap, and suddenly it all makes sense why they're calling her that. Mina keeps talking, saying the story of her miracle has already sprinted across the whole country. She gasps, clutching the sheets like they might disappear, and blurts out if it's really true. Then, even more urgently, she demands to know if the unicorn is okay, and Mina smiles, just cutting off. He reassures her and tells her that Prince Alexander personally set it up so the unicorn could keep getting care from specialized physical therapists, and the unicorn has already bounced back a lot. Relief crashes over her. She finally sees it. Alexander really did help, and he's safe, and that thought hits like a wave that won't stop, even as a brief. She pauses, then leans in and asks Mina if she can tell her whether anything happened to a man named Betrayal. That guy was barking orders to the poachers to mess with the fuel, and then Mina shows up and cuts him off with a fierce move, pressing A. He lifts a finger to her lips, hisses that she can't talk about any of this outside this room, because she's just like her. Luna will spill it to her soon, because the rumors are screaming that Chancellor Duke Betrayal is getting rich by poaching, buying influence with gold, and somehow his power is now brushing shoulders with the royal families, and worse, he's tied to the royal line too. That's the scary part. One wrong move could put Alex and His Majesty's fortunes in grave danger, and Luna knew exactly why, because all of it is his doing. The squirrels stare at her like they're worried, and then she bares her scary face, right before she cuts herself off mid-sentence. Even Sylvain looks panicked and blurts, "Are you okay?" And she quickly apologizes, then insists, "I'm fine, really." They mutter that her complexion looks bad, then right on cue, the rabbit suddenly scoots in and presses its soft little face against her cheek, snuggling like it's got one mission: warm her up. The second the expected touch lands, her face lights up, true, bright happiness. The rabbit begs her to sleep a bit longer, but she gently pushes back, insisting she's already knocked out for 2 full days. "I'm okay," she says, and even apologizes for making everyone worry. Then it hits her, just the smallest hint of sadness on her face was enough to pull them all in, rushing to comfort her in their own ways. That's it, she's not alone anymore. Mina watches the moment with a warm smile and says she truly clicks with animals. While she was out cold, not one of them ever left her side. They stayed there day and night, guarding her like it was the most natural thing in the world, and Mina answers that it's because they're all so bonded. Then she sincerely thanks Mina for looking after them. Mina flicks it away with a gentle smile, tells her to forget it, and says that since she's staying here, she should just call her Mina, because Luna-sama is being treated as the Saintess now. She pauses a beat, then nods. All right, Mina it is, and admits she'll count on her. Mina says it like it's nothing. It should be about time for Alex to come check on her heel. He's completely on edge. Usually he's so buried in public duties that he'd never have time for anything else. Then she points at a vase nearby and tells him those flowers were sent by His Highness himself, and her eyes fly open in pure shock. He presses, Alex really gave me these. Mina can't believe she's not remembering him as a kind, polite man, so she lets out a soft laugh at her totally baffled face, then calls her an interesting person. The moment the words land, she stares, blinks hard, and blurts out, wait, what do you mean? Mina finally blurts it out. She didn't just get flowers, she got them from Prince Alexander himself. For most women, that kind of favor is pure fantasy, something every unmarried noble girl spends her life wishing for. She keeps her voice calm while her mind races, admitting to herself that yeah, he's kind of impressive. I mean, he's the prince of this country. And still, her first impression of him is ugly, no sugarcoating it. But when she takes a breath, she figures she should at least be thankful. In the end, he trusted her, and he even let her heal in the middle of all that chaos, like that can't mean nothing. And then the story turns because a dangerous man. Memories crash back in uninvited, sharp, and way too real. He lunges and catches her as she crumples, holding her tight when she faints. And then no, she snaps back at herself right away, calling it nothing but duty because anyone would have stepped in for him. After all, he's a prince, and of course he wouldn't let her hit the ground. Her cheeks flare hot and she tries to lie to herself. It's not him, it's just the truth. She has barely any experience with men from her past life. That has to be it, but the excuse still can't stop her face from turning. His voice hits her ears and Mina only turns even redder. He asks how she's doing and she laughs it off, saying not to worry because Luna finally awakened and seems totally fine for now. Right after that, the door swings open. He strides in and the whole room feels heavier. Then he grins and says it's perfect timing as the fuel is brought in. He steps in right beside him, stays close to his side, then blurts out an apology and admits he'd mistaken her for a poacher in the forest. When he saw how hard she fought to save the unicorn, it hit him like a punch. His misunderstanding had been the whole problem. She gives him a soft smile and tells him it's fine because she's just relieved everything got sorted, and deep down, she's thankful he finally trusted her. He's the one who should be grateful, not her. Then he checks on her and says she'd better rest for a bit, but she won't budge. She's fine, she insists. Finally, she blurts that she wants to rush the fuel so they can meet his father ASAP. He has to be freaking out right now, and he answers her. He answers on the spot, promising they'll leave tomorrow if she's up to it, and they're headed straight for the unicorn's forest, while he gears up the knights for the trip. Then he turns to her and asks if she wants to come too. She goes completely still, stunned, and blurts out that she can't believe it's really okay for her to join them. He answers instantly, of course it is. Her gift for talking to animals will stop fights before they start, and unicorns are no joke, they're blazing with magic. If they can clear up any mix-ups with words instead of brawling, it's exactly what they'll need when it's time to bring the fuel back, so she agrees. Freeze at once, she's going. A calm happiness blooms in her chest, and Alex and Luke finally believe her because they know she can talk to animals. She pivots to the fuel and tells him they're going to visit his father tomorrow, and the moment the words hit, excitement lights up his face as he thanks her with his whole heart. Then she introduces him to the other animals, who have been watching from the shadows with wide-eyed awe, and she urges them to click and become friends. Animals stare in awe at his terrifying horns, but she can't stop looking heartbroken. She's sad that she's sure she'll break away from him, but right now she can't stop grinning about tomorrow because she's heading to the forest. At night, long after the castle finally goes silent, a soft, unsettling sound rips her out of sleep. Sylvie. Vane is already awake, eyes wide with alarm, motioning her closer like something's seriously wrong, and standing by the window, he warns her to listen to his gut while she rushes in. She whips to his side, and the moment she glances out at the others, her eyes blow wide with pure disbelief. In the dark, the Chancellor stands there, spitting curses under his breath, raging that Alexander dares to mess with his plans, but it won't matter because he's already done for. His loyal man promises everything is moving like clockwork. Then the unicorns spot the bloodied flags and lose their minds with fury, and now it's just a countdown until it all ends. It's only a matter of time before the city gates get torn down and the Chancellor snaps, asking what happened to the people who lured the unicorns with those bloody flags, only for his subordinate to shrug and say they got paid big and were kicked out, fleeing to another country. He says it's perfect. Alexander shouldn't have hunted them at all because now it's almost terrifying. The guards will only back the king, so it's up to Alexander and the Red Knights to face those enraged unicorns. The pack's holy beast leader Orzels can't be suppressed without casualties. Everyone knows it. And Alexander's older brother is already sick to the bone. If Alexander slips up here, the whole thing will crush him completely. The Chancellor is 100% sure of one thing: Alexander is going down, and once he does, Alexander will crown himself the next king. Right then, the door gets smashed open and Alexander strides in, asking if she's awake. She jerks, gasps hard, and panic spills from her as she blurts that it's awful. Outside the castle gates, the unicorns are already swarming. He stays unnervingly calm and tells her he knows, warns the castle won't stay safe for long, then orders her to pull back with the animals into the building behind the royal castle. She whips her head back, refusing. She won't run, she has to stop them. Luke steps in. He stepped in with his voice tight, saying the unicorns were furious and already crashing the gate. Once it breaks, that's it, no second chances, no time to freeze. She whipped around to Alexander and demanded, "So what's your plan?" He snaps back instantly, no doubt, no fear, saying it's his duty to shield the people, and the knights are already unleashed and on standby, just in case something goes wrong. Jean jerked at those words, like the truth finally snapped into place in his head. Then Hanuk barreled right past him and he blurted, "Wait, Alexander isn't really planning to fight the unicorns, is he?" He threw out, "Fuel's father might be out there." Hanuk snapped, "Stop talking, I can hear you." But it was already too late because what came next was already happening. It's already over. Fuel freezes on the spot, a tremor snapping through his legs. Then, out of nowhere, he rockets for the door. Sylvain lunges instantly, cutting him off at the last second, and barks that he needs to know where he thinks he's going. Fuel shoots back that Sylvain should move out of the way. He's heading out right now, ready to convince everyone with sheer determination. Sylvain snaps at him, barking "fool" like it's the loudest truth in the room, then growls that if he keeps acting this reckless, Fuel is the first one getting killed. Fuel hesitates, eyes dropping as if the answer's right under his feet. Then she watches the exchange, heart slamming in her chest, because if the gates crack at this rate, it'll turn into a slaughter on both sides, and she refuses to let it happen, not ever. Fuel's voice cuts through the quiet. He quietly calls for her and begs her to take him to them, but she jerks back at once, eyes wide, and refuses because she knows it's far too dangerous. But he digs in. He swears to her it'll all be fine, refuses to leave the castle gates, and promises that from right there he'll reach them with a way they'll instantly recognize. If he can just burst through and reach his father up front, he's sure he can steady the whole chaos behind him. At last she nods. "We'll do it." Even if the odds are tiny, she's taking the shot because she'll do anything to stop this fighting. But before she can even move, Alexander clamps down on her wrist and freezes her in place. "Hey, I'm in a rush," she snaps. She wants Fuel out there so his voice can reach them. He stays calm and asks what she means, then admits they don't know why the unicorns are tearing into the city, but if there's one thing to bet on, it's that Fuel has something to do with it. She shoots back with rock-solid certainty. Once Fuel's voice hits his family and friends outside, the whole pack will finally settle down. Alexander's brow tightens in confusion as he blurts, "But do you really think they can hear me from inside?" Pushing through the gates, she's visibly rattled as she blurts out that she has no idea. But they've got no choice, so they'll try, because doing nothing is the real loss. He clenches his jaw and bites his lip, pouring all his thoughts into that tense moment. In the heat of the moment, he finally caves, then admits she's right, even if it's a shaky maybe, because anything is better than nothing. The tension in her shoulders snaps loose, and her smile blooms so bright it feels like a fresh breath. Alexander swings around right away and yells at Luke to hurry too, because Luke's. Then he cuts him off, telling everyone to hold up. "If we're really doing this," he says, eyes blazing, "I've got a better plan." Later, she climbs to the very top of the castle gates, peers down at the chaos below, and suddenly his voice carries to her from up here. Just like Alec promised, the knights are already locked in for battle, so what happens if those gates suddenly rip open in chaos? They need to crush this riot before a single soul gets hurt. This place is the closest they can get to the castle gate, she asks. He asks for Fuel, checks if he's got this, then he grins and says yeah, but right there, it turns out he still comes out shaky and unsure. Then Sylvain throws him a lifeline, saying, "It's okay, we're all here." Jane nods, pushing him forward. "You've got this, you're his younger brother, remember?" Even the rabbits perk up and cheer him on, like they know he can do it. Fuel takes a breath, thanks everyone with warm, flushed cheeks, and then that fresh, unshakable spark locks into his eyes. He tells them they should go for it. He drags in a massive breath, fills his lungs to the max, then unleashes a shout that hits like a thunderclap. She keeps her eyes on him, every muscle locked up tight, because his attack screams hit too hard, drowning his voice until it's impossible to hear. Right then, the knight burst in and blurted that, at this rate, the holy beast Orzels would smash the gate to pieces, and he demanded if they should fire back. Alexander snapped a hard no on the spot. Doing that would just pour gasoline on the unicorn's rage. The messenger hesitates, warning that if this keeps dragging on, Alexander will shut him down, but Alexander snaps, "I know, we just have to wait a bit longer." Fuel already looks wiped out, and with every breath, the air catches in his chest, thin and shaky. She watches him with bated breath as he pushes himself to the limit, yet at this speed, they'll never catch his words, so what are they supposed to do now? Sylvain stares at her, nerves snapping tight, then it suddenly clicks, this is it. She has to fuel him and cast him a blessing and her faith. Her face lights up instantly, yeah, she's done it. She activates the skill blessing hit and it supercharged literally everything, so yeah, even his voice got louder. Gasps ripped through the room as he snapped upright, stunned. Then he demanded what just happened. Because right after that, pure electricity surged through him, making him feel insanely energized. Then she orders him to shout again the instant she's done, and he snaps his head up, nodding like he's got it. Below them, the knights are snapping out urgent orders, begging the Highness for direction. The gate can't hold much longer, Alexander snaps, cursing under his breath as he's torn between them, then throws in the fuel. Jill's voice slices through the air, razor-sharp, thunderous, and Alexander goes stone still, because the second voice hits back almost instantly, just as loud and just as ferocious. Fuel swears it's his father's voice, and just like that, the unicorns freeze dead in their tracks. Alexander lets out a sharp breath, grips the moment, and thanks Luna for saving the city, then he pauses mid-sentence as if the rest of the truth is too powerful to say out loud. He grins and says, "It wasn't just us." She explains that everyone banded together and that's how they finally managed to stop the unicorns, and Alexander smiles right along with her. The animals around her drop their eyes, mortified and flustered that she even pulled them into the victory, and then she tells Fuel they need to hand him back to his father, right now, because the moment she's done, Fuel bolts into a run, straight through the gates, charging the huge unicorn waiting there, throwing himself at it without a second thought. His father drops down at once, scoops him up tight, and lets out a long, trembling breath like his heart finally stopped racing. The stars, he's safe. She watches the reunion unfold, soft smile on her face, and whispers that it's perfect, because he's finally back with his father, exactly where he belongs. Fuels whips around toward her out of nowhere, blurts that he wants to introduce his father the right way, and then he starts praying. She flashes a proud grin and declares that's his papa, the holy beast Orzel, then she sets him free. The truth hits her like a freight train. Standing right in front of her is Orzel, the holy unicorn himself. Fuel fires off beam lights and asks if his father is cool, and suddenly it all clicks, Fuel's dad is Orzel. Orzel steps forward next. Then he bowed his massive head, his voice shaking with deep sincerity as he apologized for everything they'd done, and thanked them from the bottom of his heart, not just as the king of unicorns, but as a father. She turned. He whips around to face the prince and delivers Orzel's apology, then adds how much Alex and his gratitude means for helping keep everything fueled. Alexander listens her out, then speaks back and tells her to tell Orzel they're not here to fight, no intention at all. Still, he couldn't shake one burning question: why were the unicorns so furious that they dared to attack the city? Orzel thrusts a flag into her hands and her breath catches instantly, soaked black with blood. Even Alexander and Luke stiffen hard at the sight. Orzel spits out the reason. Every unicorn there snapped from control the moment they recognized the flag, drenched in Fuel's blood. They're convinced beyond doubt that the knights of this country did something to Fuel. Alex says the only sick-minded soul twisted enough to smear blood onto the knight's banner is probably Barrafield. Then everything clicks into place, because of course the unicorns would hit the city the moment they see something like that. But Luna still looks totally baffled, then blurts, if we really hit that city, would the Chancellor even survive? Luke admits his plan is probably more like this, then drops the real idea like it's about to change everything. He set the trap to spark a war between the unicorns and the knights, so both sides would slam into each other, bleed, and stagger. then Betrayal could swoop in at the last second to finish them off, all while racking up achievements and public cheers, and finally pinning the blame on Alex for failing to conquer the unicorns. Use that leverage to seize the throne as the next king, wipe Alex out of the picture. Alex clenches his teeth and spits out a curse. He's got to move fast, find some hard evidence, and finally catch him. Mulvin drops his head in an instant, sniffs the ground, and says he knew it. Then she whips around right away and demands to know what's wrong. He shouts to her and declares that this flag reeks just like the footprints they tracked in the forest. The smell gets thicker the farther this way you go, and he's dead sure the culprit is out beyond the city walls right now. She leans in and tells Alex that Sylvain swears the flag's courier is still lurking nearby. Luke snaps that if that's the case, the culprit is basically guaranteed to be that very person, ordered by Baron Fields to use Fuel's blood to bait the unicorns into tearing into the city, then paid off and told to vanish fast so nobody traces it back. If it's real and they manage to snag that person, they'll finally have proof strong enough to take Baron Field down. Alex hammers the point that they don't even know what the culprit looks like and presses Luke on how he's supposed to find them. Then he whips around to Luna and brings up her claim that Sylvain can identify their scent, asking if Sylvain could really help track them down, only for Luna to snap her gaze to Sylvain and demand, right there, if he can do it, and Sylvain answers instantly. No, of course not. Of course he can. His teeth grind tight as he snarls that he'll never forgive them, and he swears he'll absolutely capture them. She nods immediately and tells everyone that Sylvain can handle it, shutting the prince down when he starts to say she should stay behind and wait, because she cuts him off fast. She jabs a furious finger at him and snaps that he's not even to think about leaving her behind, especially since she's the only one who can talk to Sylvain and because he's calling it too dangerous. Then she shuts the argument down with one cold truth: she's coming with them. The second he finally mutters okay, she lights up with a grin of pure satisfaction. Alex then whips around to Luke and hands him command while he's away. Luke nods and promises the knights will stay on standby, ready to snatch Baron Field the second he gets the order. Orzel cuts in right then, grinning and saying, "If you're in a rush, hop on, ride on my back." Luke's eyes go wide as he blurts out, "You're really offering to let us ride you?" Alex is just as stunned, sputtering that unicorns are creatures that almost never deal with humans, much less. He'd never even heard of something like that. No way would he let it happen, not even once. Orzel shrugs it off, saying sure, they're people, but they're also friends, the kind who would risk their lives to save his son. Then he points out that if those criminals are charging around on fast horses, they might have already slipped away. And one thing's for sure, anyone who hurt one of his own will never, ever be forgiven. Steel determination blazes in her eyes. No way they're getting away. She grips her resolve and vows to uncover every vile thing Baron Field has done. Port Town, La Fursac and the Unicorn, where trouble's always one step away. A unicorn rockets through the streets at a terrifying blur, its hooves barely kissing the ground as the wind screams past, and the prince. She rushes to ask Luna if she's okay, and Luna insists she's fine, then steadies herself. She does her absolute best to hold her stance, even as the prince insists this speed is insanely fast, exactly what she figured from Orzel's. The shock hits less on how fast they're moving and more on how she's still somehow sitting straight. Then she shoots Sylvain a question: "Did we really go this way?" He answers instantly, 100% sure, no hesitation at all, and says their scent is way closer now. Alex blurts out why anyone would sprint straight into the middle of town, and Luna snaps back, "This is a pork town that takes in ships from all over the world, so if you're desperate, bolting out to sea is the quickest way to vanish." He tells them clear as day, if they manage to climb onto that ship, even Sylvain's nose won't be able to sniff them out. She nods with a grim bite. Once they sail across the border, other countries won't be able to meddle easily, so they've got to snatch them now. She jolts to stillness the second Sylvain halts and raises his nose, then he blurts that he's found them. He jabs a finger forward and blurts that the criminals are on that boat out there. The prince spots it, the ship's already cutting loose from the port, and there's no way they can reach it before it's gone. Orzel's eyes harden and he suddenly lunges forward, yelling at them to grip tight, because the last thing he wants is anyone getting tossed off. Meanwhile, out on the ship's deck, the man grins as he peers down into a pouch crammed with coins, and he can't stop murmuring that he got paid a fortune for something ridiculously easy. Then he even stocked up on supplies, and suddenly laying low in a foreign country for a while doesn't sound so bad when you're enjoying the spoils of a job well done. Then his face changes, and right at the railing, everyone nearby freezes, gasps, and jabs their fingers toward the port. yelling in pure disbelief about a unicorn, and his heart drops. Nope, he just can't be serious. Someone's chasing him all the way out here. There's no way they tracked him this far beyond the capital. Not a chance. Right then, the unicorn slams onto the ship hard enough to make the deck buck and shake while passengers reel backward in pure shock. Prince Alexander strides out fast, barking at the sailors to get the ship back to the shore. Everyone freezes on the spot, whispering in stunned disbelief, trying to figure out why His Highness would show up in a place like this. Luna never saw it coming. Orzel launched himself that far, all because of him, they've finally made it aboard, and since the ship is still hugging the shore, it has no choice but to turn back, giving Sylvain full control to track everything properly. Alex and he moves forward calmly. Luna blurts out his name on instinct, but he snaps at her to stay close to Orzel. The man snarls, yanks his sword free, and charges straight at the prince to collide blades to blades. Then he hammers the warning that turning the ship around will spell a serious disaster, and his voice trails off. He's telling himself that if it ever comes down to it, he'll beat His Highness to the punch, take the ship, and seize command for good. Luna freezes on the spot. Too many passengers everywhere. No way she can jump in and help with the holy arrow like this. If she fires here, 1 minute is all it takes for everything to go horribly wrong. A deadly miscalculation could get some innocent hurt, so the prince speaks up right then. The guy's acting way too calm, like he's totally underestimating him. With a single swift slash, he cuts across the man's leg and the guy crumples with a scream, slamming onto the deck. Alexander brushes it off, telling him, "Don't worry. He won't kill him because the man's a vital witness to Baronfield's plan." The man mutters a curse through clenched teeth, then snaps, screaming at his men, demanding to know why they're just standing there and ordering them to slaughter the prince. Swords come flying from every angle, steel flashes like a storm, and Alexander crashes into them alone, blade meeting blade as he fights for his life. Soon, right after that, they slammed onto the deck, lifeless, unconscious. Alexander whips his eyes around, muttering that everyone must be here, then spots a nearby man shaking like crazy. He rushes up, barks for a rope, and orders them to tie those men down. Luna barrels over with eyes blazing, blurting, "That was unreal," because she can't wrap her head around how he wiped out all those people by himself. When she catches it, someone is right behind him. The arrow finally tore free and flew off, pulled tight by destiny. She screams out a warning, then darts forward on pure instinct. She lunged at him, threw herself in the way, and blocked the arrow meant for his life. An arrow slams into her shoulder, and the archer is yanked down and locked up by men nearby as she whips herself free, forcing. Princess flashes a smile and tells Alexander she's totally fine, insisting he stop looking so worried. Then she activates. She snaps into the skill menu, and just like that, the healing kicks in. Her bleeding slams to a stop, the wound stitches shut in seconds, and she bolts before anyone can catch her. She jerks back hard as his voice slams into her, and he roars that she's an idiot. Just because she can heal doesn't mean she should go and do something like that. He nearly spits the rest of it out. Reckless, she whispers an apology, voice barely there. He snaps out a sharp breath, then admits it. She's got a strong, mysterious power. And as the Saintess, she can heal anyone, so he reaches up and drags his hand across her cheek in a startlingly intimate move, then warns her, voice hard, "Never do something reckless like that again." Back at the palace, Luna strains to hold down a raging Sylvain, snarling with bared teeth, ready to lunge at the prince for letting her get hurt. Orzel looms close, face just as grim, practically vibrating with fury, and he snaps the real question. Did they manage to spot the criminal in that group? She blurts for everyone to calm down, and just like that, Sylvain jerks still. No more fighting, aims a paws straight at the restrained, and declares rock-solid confidence that this is the one. This guy is the criminal, and the second she catches sight of him, she whips around to Alex and fires off the news that Sylvain has already pinned him as the culprit. Alec closes in and, with a chill in his voice, declares that this is the monster who ordered tonight's flag to be drenched in unicorn blood. The man shuts his mouth tight, refusing to answer. Alex tries to press him for a word. Tries to talk him down, promising that if he cooperates, there's a real shot his life gets spared. But before the man can even think about answering, Orzel slams his head down and flicks his lone horn forward. One blazing slash cuts the horn clean through the man's pant, and the guy goes rigid with eyes bulging in pure shock. Then he blurts out Safada's name, screaming that it was him who ordered everything. Prince goes rigid and demands to know if he's talking about Barafield's own personal aid. Then Luna's breath catches like something terrifying just clicked into place. With this, they'll finally be able to slam the proof down and nail every one of Barafield's crimes. Right as anyone opens their mouth, the knight rushes in and blurts to the prince, "When we checked the ship's cargo, we found something insane," and then reveals what's in the holder, the ship's cargo right there for everyone to see. They're talking about unicorn horns, protected animal furs, processed fang ornaments, and even every kind of eyes and nails you can imagine. Felix's face hardens as he lays it out. Those taxidermied animals were likely stuffed while they were still alive, because that twisted method always nets the biggest payday, Luna. Luna suddenly goes pale and sick, whispering that none of this can be real. Then she stares at the animal snarling at her, its eyes blazing with pure hatred, and the sheer amount of pain it must have suffered hits her like a punch. Alex snaps his head toward the sailor and demands to know if he checked the cargo before they set sail, only for the sailor to admit they couldn't inspect it because the shipment had a special permit, letting it slide through as trade goods for Gyron's royal court. Alex clenched his fist and fired off that Durant was a major importing nation. Then he leaned in, asking if that meant they'd been doing business straight with the aristocrats there. There he clenches his fist and spits. How rotten do they have to be to smuggle illegal goats just to trade with foreign countries? Luna stays locked in place, unable to process what she's just seen, while pure fury surges in her eyes. How dare he slaughter so many for his greedy cravings and steal lives without even lifting a finger himself? This is the first time in her whole life, and she's standing there realizing she can't forgive the one person she always reaches for. Alexson says they've got to get back to Eddie fast now. He snaps, yeah, he never expected the unicorn to survive and end up helping us. Then he grabs the urgency and shouts, "Move, we can't miss this chance," as she tears. She's back in the capital, and the moment she locks onto her target, she's hellbent on paying him back 10 times over for every vicious scheme he pulled. One day, Shiori, a veterinarian from modern-day Japan, got into an accident, and suddenly she was yanked into a different vault, reborn as Luna Lofuriel, the Duke's daughter. But out of nowhere, the Crown Prince tore up their engagement, then kicked her out of the country for good. In Edipan, the land of beastmen, the Chancellor was secretly calling the shots, ordering poachers to line his own pockets. Before His Majesty can even get a word out, the Chancellor surges forward and barks, asking how much longer His Majesty intends to pretend the problem isn't there, then warns that if they don't snatch that full unicorn out of the picture right now, the city will stay trapped in danger. Rage coils in his chest as he can't understand why the unicorns haven't already stampeded through the peasants. At this pace, nothing is going the way it's supposed to. Around the throne, the officials crowd in and start begging all at once, cornering His Majesty and demanding he listen to the Chancellor, because they swear the answer is easy: just kill every last beast. The king slams his fist, shouts that he won't accept it, and demands, can they honestly not see the truth? The unicorns are done fighting. The queen says it coolly, exactly as the king claimed, because Prince Alexander already crushed the chaos outside and Luke's death sealed it. He steps up, looks her in the eye, and declares that her words match Her Majesty's exactly. The Chancellor drags out a slow, mocking smirk and asks where Prince Alexander is right now, then pushes the idea that he might have used the moment to slip away from the unicorns outside. Queen immediately cuts in, snapping that this kind of insolence won't be tolerated. The Chancellor grins even wider and purrs that if the two of them won't move, he'll do it himself. Then everyone will finally see who should wear the crown next, not the king. King snaps at him to shut it down right now and hold his tongue until Alexander comes back. Chancellor scoffs, barks wait again and again, and presses them hard, questioning if they're stuck waiting on some prince who bolts the moment their country needs him. Yeah, that kind of prince isn't worth their patience, so he better be ready because he's demanding something. Man's proof that Luke's report holds up, because their enemies are unicorns and holy beasts hauled into this world by spilled blood, and they need to move now before it's too late. Right then, Jean, still tucked in the maid's arms, snaps upright with a jolt, yells that he can't stand it anymore, and launches himself forward. He lunges at the Chancellor, screaming that he's the whole reason the unicorns ever struck the city. His claws slash across the Chancellor's face. Then the snarling Chancellor lunges midair and clamps onto him, twisted rage warping his features as he lifts his hand to strike. The rabbits go rigid, terror freezing their bodies. Sharp golden flap. Flash cuts through the air, then an arrow slams into the Chancellor, freezing him solid in place. He screams, demanding to know who dares pull this off, while Luna stands there with her bow lowered, rage shaking in her chest as she snaps that he won't ever lay a hand on her friend. The rabbits all slump in relief, and she instantly turns. He shifts his focus to Jean and asks, "Are you okay?" Jean gives a quick, "I'm fine," and gratefully thanks her for stepping in. The Chancellor glares at her, suddenly recognizing her as the girl from earlier, then snaps, demanding to know what she thinks she's doing, blasting him with a bow before declaring her crime is punishable by death. She shoots back that the "worthy of death" line fits him perfectly, then reminds him this all started when he said their enemies were unicorns lured in by spilled blood. She asks point-blank if it isn't weird that he just so happens to know the exact reason the unicorns hit the city. Then the Chancellor pretends he has no idea and plays dumb, like her words are pure nonsense. He snaps at her to stop talking nonsense, but she refuses to back down, then declares that unleashing the fuel that lured the unicorns here to smash the city was his doing, the whole plan, all of it. She swears she picked up every last detail by listening to the unicorns themselves. He explodes into laughter, calling her claim ridiculous, mocking the idea that he actually heard a unicorn and got tricked into attacking the city, yet now she's standing there with the proof that the unicorn spoke to her. He scoffs in her face and tells her straight up that humans and beasts can't talk to each other, then he rips the whole thing apart and calls it a scam. Alexander shoved forward and stood in front of her, protective as a wall, shouting that he knew exactly who the scammer was. King booms that he's finally back, and Alexander wastes no time. He apologizes to His Majesty for making him wait. The Chancellor snapped that they better not make him laugh, because if their next king keeps acting like this, he's terrified for the country's future. Alexander doesn't blink, he just snaps his hand up and declares that the man delivered the unicorn pack to the capital, because Alexander already caught him earlier at La Forsac. The Chancellor's face twists into a frown as he mutters that all this is convenient, but the truth is there's no real move anyone can make against him. Out of nowhere, the man howls for Zafata, saying Zafata promised him safety. Luke, sharp as ever, leans in and asks Alexander if he knows this guy. Zafata steadies himself, looks the truth in the eye, and swears he's never laid eyes on that man before. The man keens and screams that Zafata came after him first, swearing she's his wife. Zafata swore he'd keep him safe, so was this a trap from the start? He did exactly what they ordered. He went in, struck down a young unicorn, drank its blood, and drenched a knight's banner in it to bait the unicorns straight into the city. So where did their oath of loyalty go? This is nothing short of unfair. Suddenly, Zafata snaps, "Shut up," and he finally admits he'd been following orders too, but then he just freezes. Color drains from his face as the words hit him, and he whips around to the Chancellor, stammering his apology like his life depends on it. The Chancellor lifts a trembling hand and snaps curses at him, then the prince slams in, sharp and sudden. He barks a brutal order, "Seize Duke Barafield and bring him in." He slams his fist into the wall, rage blazing, and shouts that no, they're not taking him or anyone else. Catch him, he's still the man fate picked to become this country's next king. King's eyes snap wide when he spots Orzel's massive, terrifying presence, like a shadow that fills the whole room. He tried to spin and bolt, but the knights grabbed him and pinned him down in an instant. He thrashes against their grip, but the prince's voice slices straight through his panic. They reminded him this whole room is ringed by the Knights of the Red Lion, so now he had nowhere left to run. He's done for, so why won't he just shut up, stop hiding, and confess already? The Chancellor snaps curse words under his breath, bragging that he runs this country and that someday he'll be king, while Luna just murmurs softly, "What are you saying?" Then fury crashes into her and she yells at the top of her lungs, saying he's destroyed countless animals, and worse, he's even sold the very people he claims to protect for his own selfish gain. That kind. What kind of fool refuses to earn the crown? He curses He's battering through her, his struggles raging against the knight's grip, because his plan is perfect. But if she hadn't shown up suddenly, everything would have gone differently. At last, he jerks his hand up in a desperate, deadly move, but the prince snatches it instantly and mutters, "I never thought I'd take this far." He whips around to the knights and barks that the duke is being dragged away right now. Luna watches. She watches him get released, certain they've finally found the crack in his armor, because all the sins he buried are about to surface, and he's going to pay for using animals just to line his pockets. Sylvain presses her, "So you finally nailed that bad guy, does that mean we can close the case?" She nods once, says that's right, then dips into a polite bow to the king and queen, introducing herself a little late but making her apology clear. The queen lights up with a warm smile, tells her they've already heard all about Saintess Luna from Luke, and they both thank her with their whole hearts for winning the unicorns over and saving their country. The king declares that thanks to her, they finally crushed the poaching case and hauled Barrafield in. Then the whole room buzzes with gratitude. She just gives a small bow and says it was nothing, and later they insist she sit at the family table. Rin's eyes light up at the mountain of sweets, and she springs onto the table like she can't wait another second. She calls out to Rin, declaring she's standing before His Majesty and that she'd better act accordingly. Rin, half lost and barely loud enough, asks, "Do I really have to?" His Majesty grins, waves it off like it's nothing, and tells her, straight up, that she can really talk to animals. Suddenly, the queen snaps Alexander's name in the air, demanding to know why he never told her he had a girlfriend. She just freezes. Luna stammers, swears she's wrong, and insists she only met His Highness not long ago. Then the queen blurts out an apology, saying she's never seen him trust a woman before and she was convinced he had feelings for her. Dean grins at her and asks how long she's planning to stick around, then tells her they'll gladly set up a room for her inside the palace, only for her to blurt, "Oh no, thank you," before her words trail off like she's about to say something else. Right in the thick of the journey, and he's already counting down the minutes until he's gone. The prince tenses up for a split second, then whispers, "Is that really true?" She nods, and only then does it hit her. She's never actually sat down and talked with Alex about traveling. Their first encounter went sideways, and when she tried to heal Fuel, she was overflowing with joy that he trusted her and her powers, and every time she got into trouble or needed help, Alex never once hesitated. He was right there. The king snaps right through her thoughts and orders, "At least let them thank you, throw a welcome party for them." Then he adds, "If you're not in a rush, it'll be ready in a week." And with that, he pushes her to stay in the country just a little longer, so she can't help but think. She can't help but think it. If she stays any longer, she's terrified that even more secrets about herself will come spilling out. First, her engagement got wiped out and she was thrown into exile from Faring, so she's keeping it locked down, determined that Alex never finds out. But what comes out of her mouth is, "All right, thank you." She swallows her nerves and nods like it's no big deal. "I'd be honored." Deep down, she tells herself it's just a week, she'll be fine. Besides, she really wants to stay here on the other side. Isabel throws Count Parenzel a warm, gentle smile, and he leans in, asking if they. He tells her she can count on him for anything and to waste zero hesitation in calling on him. No matter what's going on, he reminds her he owes her father everything, and he'll do everything in his power to help her. She lights up at that, saying it makes her incredibly happy then. Like she can't bring herself to say it, she finally confesses that a certain woman's help is the reason the holy beast has cursed her, and the Count. Outlook shoots a stunned look at her and blurts, "What do you mean?" And she keeps going, saying that at this pace she'll never be free again. She's heard that from the merchant land of Durant he can get almost anything he wants with. Tears welling in her eyes, she gazes up at him with a sweet innocence and asks, "Do you think there's some magical tool down there, something that could shatter that curse?" He curses once under his breath, then answers without a second thought, "Yeah, sure, if that's all she needs, she can hand it to him." He promises he'll start hunting for the item right away, and right then she realizes she's finally hit the jackpot, because if he truly finds that tool, she'll be freed from Selin at last. That idea almost makes her smirk from the inside. She bows her head, murmurs an apology to Luna, then heads off to Durant to drag her back. What a joke, Durant's dead weight at this point. Not a single chance she'd ever go that far, But instead, she pictured a wild story she'd just heard at the harbor, tilting. She bumps her head and asks if he's heard the rumor about the Saintess. Of course he has, saying she's everyone's hero right now, and he's heard that she was. She managed to calm the unicorns tearing up Ediphalia and snag the poachers running wild in Lofersack. Then she nods like, "That's exactly it." After that, she leans in and asks if he also. He realizes the Saintess is really Faring, the girl who ditched her engagement with the Crown Prince, and the Count visibly jerks like his whole world just glitched. "Wait, so you're saying it's true?" She says it like it's nothing, then casually drops the bombshell that the Saintess is now trying to seduce the Prince of Ediphan too. Seriously, what a ridiculous Saintess. She spirals in thought because even the curse she got traces back to Saint Isluna, and the Count jerks back again when. Even as she casually asks if he's not stuck in this mess too, since the smugglers got hauled in, he snaps back, totally thrown off, and demands what she means. She speaks coolly like, wasn't it him who set this up first? And didn't those poachers get a special permit to trade with Garant's aristocrats if the Saintess hadn't? If he hadn't stepped in, his business would have just carried on like normal. Then she hits him with this. If a saintess can wipe out an engagement and immediately start swaying men, what do you think would happen the moment the kingdom and Prince Alexander find out? After all, if the woman they trusted so blindly turns out to be that kind of person, her status would crumble, no question. Wouldn't it be hilarious if that actually happened? Count erupts into laughter, calling it the most wonderful opportunity of all, and he. 1 week from now, Eddie Fan's throwing a welcome banquet for the saintess at the castle, so he's pushing to tell the whole story right there in front of everyone, even the king, then and there. She bursts into a delighted laugh, saying it's marvelous, and she says, she's practically buzzing with anticipation, dying to see Luna's face twist with shame. Meanwhile, right back at the palace, Mina drags her into the library. Turns out the castle's library is the biggest one in the whole capital, and because you need a special permit just to step inside, it's almost never crowded. She stares at endless shelves and realizes that with so many books, finding one single thing would be a nightmare. Mina reassures her that librarians are right there to help, so she shouldn't stress, then leans in and asks what she's hunting for. She says she wants books that teach her more about animals, and since it's the castle library, she's secretly hoping for rare, oddball texts. Mina tells her to hold up for a second, and Rin shoots her finger at one of they. She shoved her hand toward the shelves, quizzing, "Is that a book?" and she kept reaching. He answers that yes, it's true, and then adds that there are even picture books too, so Rin immediately throws a fit and demands to see them right now. She spots a guy lounging on the sofa by that huge window, book in hand, and instantly wonders, wait, is he a librarian? She closes the distance. She closes in and asks, "Are you a librarian?" instead of what? He questions who she is, and she blurts out that she's suspicious. Before panic takes over, she snatches out the permission note and admits the prince approved her entry to the library. A faint smile hits his face like everything clicks, and he tells her that must mean she's the saintess, then asks what kind of books she came searching for. She leans in, tells him she wants to learn everything about animals, and asks if there are any picture books as. He grabs the books too and tells her, "Come with me." While her friends can't stop flipping through the illustrated animal stories, she realizes that. She finds the exact message she's been hunting for, and she thanks him with real sincerity for helping her out. He waves it off, saying it was nothing and that he's just glad he could assist her. Right then, Mina bursts in and shouts. She steps right up to him, says she's brought the librarian, and Mina snaps her head toward him, hesitates for a split second, then greets him with full respect, calling him Prince Julius. She freezes in place, spins toward him, and horror flashes across her face like a warning sign. Mina blurts that he's Prince Julius, Prince Alexander's older brother, the first prince of Eddie Fan, and she immediately. He drops into a deep bow on the spot, shoots out a sincere apology for her rude behavior, and snaps that she's been horribly disrespectful, then waves it off like it's nothing, telling her not to worry. He confesses that he was the one who got curious, that he chose to stay anonymous, and that the blame lands on him. And then he goes even softer, insisting she's truly a lovely lady, just as. Right on cue with Alexander's words, he suddenly starts coughing hard and she snaps, asking if he's okay. He tells her straight up that he's not making excuses. His body has been frail since the day he was born, and then he blurts out that it was because of her that Barrafield's crimes finally got exposed. Plus he admits he'd been lining up more proof tied to his sales to make the case even stronger. Mina lets out a soft but firm nudge, telling him to stop pushing himself so hard because the case is already closed. He says he's hoping that's true because if it is, it'll be a huge relief, and Luna shoots him a worried look and asks if something's been bothering him. He answers. Yep, Barrafield teamed up with kings and aristocrats from all over the world. Most of all, he had a real knack for the merchant kingdom of Gerant. Count Barunval's ambassador is even stationed in the port town of Lofersac, and he admits he's a bit scared that someone might try to strike first. She swears it's the right move. Piracy was already gearing up to hit Gerant, and now she's wondering if the ambassador and Barrafield are secretly in business together, and the prince. Prince starts coughing again, like his body won't let him breathe easy. After a beat, he admits that if his body weren't like this, he'd back Alexander way harder than he can right now. Mina answers softly that there are plenty of things only Julius can do, thanks to his endless knowledge. He grins at her, says thank you, and goes on. Hearing that honestly lights him up from the inside, and then he straight up admits this. After what's just happened, it'd be amazing if Alexander could be officially named Crown Prince, because only then could he finally breathe easy without the With that fear gone, he wouldn't have to hold himself back anymore because yeah, he really is a troublesome brother. Luna sees it clearly. With his fragile body, grabbing the throne would be brutal. So if Alexander vanished, someone like Barrafield could swoop in and seize power. She pauses, then realizes it. Julius still can't stop thinking about his brother's position over his own, and she knows Alexander would act the exact same way. The prince whips his gaze to Luna and breaks into a gentle smile, then asks straight up if she hates Alexander. When she hesitates, he presses on, voice warm but firm, asking if it's too much to ask her to stay in this country. He tells her straight up that Alexander will be the next king and warns that the moment he takes the throne, enemies will keep clawing at that position, just like with what happened here. Then he admits he knows asking this might sound rude, but can't help wondering if she'll still stand by his brother and back him all the way. She snaps at him to wait and makes it clear she and Alexander aren't lovers, not like that. He nods like he gets it. Then he explains the real reason. His condition has left him painfully tuned to everyone else's emotions. He insists he can feel her real trust in Alexander, and he knows Alexander trusts her right back. She's the first woman he's ever truly let into his heart, and now he's quietly asking if she'd be willing to open her heart to his brother, too. She stares at him, stunned, wondering if he really thinks she can become the kind of person strong enough to stand by Alexander. The next morning, she lets out a soft yawn, and Mina instantly clocks it, then asks if she's okay. She says she was just lost, kept replaying everything from the night before and barely got any sleep. After everything. The things she heard yesterday hit so hard she couldn't even shut her eyes. Not really. She kept thinking about staying in this country and becoming someone who. She can't believe it. Alexander needs someone to stand beside him, and she thinks she finally knows how she could become his strength, but the way he asks it, so fast and so directly, throws her off and leaves her shaken. Settled right then, her friends shouted, "Look ahead." They swear it's shining so bright, she tilts her chin up and snaps back, "That's stained glass," and they immediately. They burst with excitement, gushing that sightseeing with her means non-stop amazing sights and real fun. Then she flashes a smile and nods, saying, "Yeah, it's exactly that." Today we head into the city for sightseeing, and she tells herself to drop Alex for now. She finally gets her chance to roam, and she's ready to have fun. Even though Prince Julius warned everyone, she can't shake the feeling that Alex is more stressed and loud than actually trusting her. So when she tells him she just wants to look around town, he forces a knight to trail her in civilian clothes. Mina tells Luna, "Let's get out there now," and as they head to the capital's center, the stalls stretch in every direction. Luna starts to reply, "Yeah, it sounds awesome." Later, as they weave through the roaring streets, Luna tilts her head at the towering buildings and just can't believe how huge they are. Then she starts wondering what the biggest one ahead is. A man nearby snaps back, telling her it's Ediphan's guild. She leans in, eyes sharpening, then it clicks and she recognizes him as the knight who was guarding the fuel that day. She blurts that she remembers. His face lights up with a sweet kind of shock and he tells her it's an honor. She does, then he smiles and introduces himself. Ricardo. Ricardo tells them that Ediphan's guild is where adventurers roll in with herbs and materials they've hauled from their journeys to sell them off. And he points out that the Commercial Agriculture Guild and the Adventurers Guild both share this same building as their home base. Then Luna gets quiet, thinking about material gathering, and nostalgia hits her hard. Because in the game she used to be obsessed with collecting everything and crafting from it, and now she can't stop wondering if doing it in real life could still feel just as addictive. That thought yanks her back to a book she once read on medicinal herbs, rare stuff you can only find in Ediphan, and she can't shake the idea that joining the guild could be her move, especially if she wants to hunt, collect, and sell materials later to lock in the funds. Mina asks Mina if it's cool for them to browse the guild for a bit, and the second she steps inside, her eyes go wide and alert. Her eyes flare with pure excitement as she scans the crowd, and somehow, even in all this chaos, slipping through the interior feels weirdly effortless. Everything clicks into place, then she freezes mid-step, eyes locked on a man glaring at the kids and barking at them to keep their hands off his merchandise, while the boy throws his tiny body in front of his sister like a shield, his face trembling as it could collapse any second, while the little girl hides her tears in her hands and sobs quietly, and then the boy snaps, demanding the man hand Pio back to him. Rage flares across the man's face as he snaps, yanks the boy up by the collar like he's about to swing, hissing that the boy has no clue who he thinks he is, then he glares like a warning. Luna glares at him and steps forward at once, snapping, "Stop right now." The man whips around, snarling at her to shut up and stay out of it, but Luna's eyes burn with fury. She can't just stand by while an adult swings a fist at a child, so she drops into a crouch in front of the camera. He steps right in front of the kids and softly asks what's going on. The boy breaks down and screams that Pio is their dear friend, yet this man ripped him away. Then the man finally snaps and lets out a mocking laugh ripped through the room, daring them to show proof that the bird was even theirs, Luna's. Her eyes go huge as she clocks Pio, a white star parakeet, the rare gem aristocrats hunt for, so the boy snaps his head side to side, swearing up and down that nobody could possibly mistake their own Pio. And that monster snatched it right out of their orphanage, then shrugged it off like it meant nothing, muttering that the bird had always been his. It's been loud lately, so he figured he'd sell it, and he doesn't have a clue about their orphanage at all. He sneers at the kids and hammers that now they're calling him a thief, like it's totally expected that filthy little kids like them never get adopted from orphanages. Then Luna's sharp voice cuts right through his venom as she demands how he can say something so cruel. The cage rattles again as the bird starts up with fresh, loud noises. Rage flashes in his eyes as he whips around, grumbling about the damn bird and why it won't shut up, while the bird keeps chirping that the two kids aren't dirty in that meal and that you shouldn't be bullied, not just LOON. Luna hears it too, and the man snaps, telling the kids to run off because he's got business to take care of. Luna. Hannah refuses to fold, insisting the bird has to be handed back to the children right now. Theo keeps blurting out their names and the guy just scoffs, calling her stupid, cutting the sentence short. Ricardo kept staring, wondering if she really understood what the bird was trying to tell her. Ricardo lunged forward, seething with indignation, and tore into the man for having the nerve to talk disrespectfully to the saintess, Luna. Luna snaps at Ricardo to calm down, swearing she has proof, and the man bursts into laughter, hooked. Then he warns her he knows Count Perungal, the ambassador of Durant, and urges her to drop this charade before she wrecks herself. The little kids stare in terrified silence, then Luna grins softly at them like nothing scary is happening. He reassured them, promising that Pio would come back safe and sound. He calls out to the bird, asking if it can hear her. Hi-yo. Bio freezes in shock, stunned that she can actually understand him. Then Luna leans in and says she's got a favor to ask because she wants. She demands he spill the kids' names and explain how they're tied to him, but the bird panics, confessing it's never dared to talk in human words before. Luna instantly calms him, reminding him he's probably heard those names over and over. The man scoffs again, calling it a total farce, but he admits one thing: yeah, the white star parakeets can talk. Still, that doesn't explain it, because there's no way the bird could have known the names of kids it just met. The bird rips at its words, but every sound trips over itself. Meanwhile, the man, rage blazing, snaps at Luna for wasting his time and orders her to kneel and apologize, but Luna stands firm and fires back that she has zero reason to apologize to someone like him. The bird kicks off again, shrieking at full force, and Luna and the kids stare on, holding their breath, but before long, both kids light up with pure joy as the bird finally manages to say their names. The man goes stone still, eyes wide with pure shock, and mutters under his breath like he can't believe what's happening. Luna fires back, demanding how he could possibly tear down this evidence, because how does the white star parakeet, the exact bird he swears he owns, know the kids' names? Fury flares as he curses under his breath, then he bolts for the exit, only to stop short right before. Right when he tries to slip away, Ricardo lunges in and grabs him, pinning him down with restraints. Sylvie grips him tight and snaps, demanding to know where he thinks he's headed, because they're nowhere near done with this conversation. Vane grins, all bright and cheerful. Isn't this great? And then he adds, it's just a tiny wave of relief hits, then boom, his ears twitch and his whole body locks up when his eyes catch something across the street. Luna spots the shift and demands what's wrong. Sylvain snaps back that a strange person is weaving through the crowd, trying to vanish without a trace. His nose flares, he sniffs hard, and the scent hits. This figure isn't alone. It has to be an accomplice. Sylvain remembers overhearing the man mutter that he'd sell every piece of merch fast, until Barrows something showed up and started locking him up. Luna's eye narrows like he's sizing something up. He's gotta be talking about Barrafield, right? If that's the case, then these people aren't just suspicious, they're hunting as poachers. Luna whips around to Mina, then entrusts the animals in her hands and starts giving her careful instructions, right there, out loud. She pushes her way back to the kids and orders them watched like a hawk while she races after the accomplice, then shouts to Ricardo that the guy slipped out the back door. She'll go with Sylvain and they'll hunt him down. Luna steps out onto the roaring street, and suddenly the crowd swarms her from every side. She whips around to Sylvain and demands to know if he can follow the accomplice's trail through the chaos. Sylvain's nose twitches as he locks in, and with zero hesitation he says he remembers that scent, and he'll hunt it down. Suddenly his nose twitches, then he blurts, "I found them," and points them out there in that building just ahead. He turns to Luna and asks what she wants to do next, and she recalls promising Ricardo they'd only follow them, but then her mind flips to one terrifying thought: what if they actually get away? If they can collar them right here, Alex will finally get the real help she needs, so after a quick pause, she snaps the order and she and Sylvain launch after them. They'll get him. She tightens her grip, forcing herself to stay steady. "I'll be fine." Sylvain's right there with her, still armed with every skill she has. Sylvain shoots a warning at her. There look like there are 3 of them. The man must have come here to link up with his comrades. Luna slams herself into the building's corner, eyes racing as she calculates her opening. If she pulls off one sudden hit, she can take this whole fight. She knocks an arrow, fires in a blink, and it lands on 2 men clean. One goes rigid with a sharp scream, yelling who dares to be there, and Luna. Luna sharply huffs. 2 are down, one still standing. Thank goodness. With her skills, she's got this final one. The last man narrows his eyes, then his face snaps with recognition, realizing she's the guild woman. Luna clicks her tongue under her breath, warns Sylvain it could get deadly if he's carrying a weapon, and orders him to stay behind her. And she snaps her voice louder, telling them to shut up and freeze if they don't want to get hurt. These aren't random guys either, they're the poacher's comrades from before, which means they're tied to Betrayal. And the man sneers, laughing like she's completely misread them. Luna yanks her bow back to fire again, but wham, something rockets straight at her. A pouch pops open at her feet, and thick powder explodes so fast that her vision is gone in a blink. Her lungs seize as she realizes she can't see a thing her hand. She snaps her arrow on the bowstring and freezes mid-breath. A cold voice creeps in from behind her. "Time to show you what a real threat looks like." A cold blade bites into her neck as a man snarls orders, "Toss the weapon and shut that dog up." She doesn't want to get hurt, does she? He whips his focus to Sylvain and barks for him to stay put. "Don't move." Then he sneers like, "So the dog doesn't want this girl to die because of you, right?" He lets out a chuckle and says the dog looks so well trained it's almost like it understands every word they speak. It do feel like a total crime to kill a woman like her, but she knows far too much about them, and that leaves no choice at all. Luna's. It's on her. Those chest tightens are on her head. She got way too cocky after snaring that poacher in the forest, and now she's going to pay for it fast. But none of them will ever escape. She's not letting it happen. Suddenly, she clamps down hard on the hand, jamming the blade to her throat. Then the man howls in agony as she screams at Sylvain to sprint and grab Ricardo. The man snarls with rage, barking that she's trying to die, and then Luna. Luna freezes dead in her tracks. Luke stands right in front of her, gaping at the scene like he can't believe his eyes. The man clamps down on her cursed cries under his breath and mutters that the Red Lion Knights have tracked this place too. Then he snaps his voice loud, warning them to stay back. "You know what happens to her if you don't, right?" A furious, low voice slices through the air, commanding him to let her go. The moment it happens, Luna clocks it instantly. Then Alex is there the very next second, face contorted with raw rage, and he snaps at the man to yank his filthy hand off Luna right now. The raw power in his voice snaps through the air, and the man flinches on instinct. His grip suddenly loosens, and Luna's. Luna staggers out just in time. Then the man crumples onto his knees, panic swallowing his words as he rambles that he let her go, begging them not to kill him. He shouts to his knights to grab every last person. Luna ducks his gaze and whispers a tiny apology, like her voice can't even handle what she's feeling, because she can't bring herself to look at his face. And the worst part, she's sure he's furious. She keeps telling herself she just wanted to be useful, but he's been slaving away on the Betrayal investigation, and she feels like she's done nothing at all. Even without her stepping in, Alex probably would have caught that poacher. She just got in the way. Startled, she jerks her gaze up when he quietly asks if she's hurt. In the next second, he yanks her into his arms, every muscle in his body tight as a wire, ready for whatever comes next. With concern, he reassures her good that she's safe, and admits how terrifying that moment must have been for her as Luna freezes. Freezes for a beat, then tears blur her vision as she chokes out a tiny thank you for saving her. Later, every escort bows low, taking the blame for what went wrong while they guarded her. Luna thinks Alex might not realize the truth because she chose to hunt the man alone and she left her escorts behind. Alex smirks and declares the knights won't be punished, then fires off a blunt warning. Next time she has to be way more careful, Luke asks. If Alex decides the guild kids are really okay, then straight up confirms they're most likely orphans, shocked that poachers would dare to target children like that. It looks like Mina escorted the kids home safe, and Alex decides he wants to catch up with them, so he tells Ricardo to come along. He whips around to Luna and asks her to come along, and Luna freezes, stunned that he'd invite her, then blurts out, "Can I really?" Alex leans in and tells her, "You can do it," and then he flashes back to how she was the one who just said she wanted to be useful right before the whole thing spiraled into the next part of their plan, and it's a power only she has. She stares in shock, completely stunned. Something she can do. Luke just couldn't believe it. He never expected poachers to turn the orphanage's basement into an underground hideout. Turns out the men they snatched the other day won't talk and left everything out, so the orphanage sisters had no choice but to shield the kids from them. Once they took over the church orphanage, the sisters suddenly realized 2 of their kids were gone, and when he went to investigate that day, his jaw dropped in the warehouse because he spotted Luna there. Luna snapped to Alex and demanded, "What did you want me to do?" But he only dodged the question, grabbed her attention, and ordered, "Come with me," then bolted off. He steers her into a room packed with a gigantic egg, and Luke leans in to explain that it's rumored to be the egg of a white eagle dragon, so rare that nobody really knows how it survives or lives. Luna freezes as she stares at the massive white egg in a pristine eagle dragon like she's never seen one before. It's pure beauty, and eagle dragons are already rare, but one with pure white wings. That's basically a once-in-a-lifetime miracle, Alex meant. She tells him they're tearing through the Royal Palace Library right now, hunting for a book about the creature, yet he can't help thinking she might be hiding something they don't know. Luna just gives a small shake of her head because yeah, it was his request, but she doubts she knows more about the white eagle dragon than he does. After all, most of its habitats are still wrapped in mystery, and since people don't exactly breed dragons, there's barely any real information to go on. She demands to know why the poachers stashed the egg in the middle of the city. Surely it'd be impossible to hide, right, since dragons are huge, and Luke answers that it was a gift for Barrafield, because there's a legend that anyone who drinks dragon blood will gain special powers. Alex's face twists in disgust as he spits that all this time the guy just craved the spotlight. So now Alex suspects he was even planning to drink that blood to prove he deserved to be the next king, and it leaves Alex feeling absolutely sick. Luna's face twists with disgust because the idea of someone doing that for pure personal gain makes her sick. Then every gaze snaps to the egg as it suddenly stirs. Alex says it should hatch in under a week, and the second that white egg twitches, the dragon inside will basically announce, "I'm ready." Luke hears that and immediately urges them to sprint back to the palace. Alex agrees, but Luna whips her head side to side and demands they wait. She swears she felt it shift, and hauling a huge, heavy egg out of this warehouse and all the way to the palace sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. She vows to protect that egg no matter what, then quickly asks if it's okay for her to stay behind. Alex tells Luna that she's the animal expert in their group, and if he ever spots helpful books, he'll rush them straight to her so she can stop worrying about where anything is. 6 days have already smashed by, and that egg is about to crack open any moment. Honestly, she wishes she had the guts to promise they'll turn up safe and sound, because with barely any info on the white eagle dragons hiding in the palace library, she's got no more answers than everyone else. She whips around the moment Alex swings the door open and strides inside. He asks, "How's the egg doing?" and she answers him straight away. She answers straight up, admitting it's just a guess that everything's fine. Then he tells her not to skip rest too, and then he shoves a book into her hands and tells her, straight up, that his older brother ordered him to give it to her. So she stares at the cover, squints at a bookmark jutting out, and opens it, only to see it's a zoologist's memoir, only a few dozen pages long, but tucked inside is a real log of them finding and raising a white eagle dragon baby. If you're in the know, you know. Prince tells her, "I hope this helps Luna, even if it's only a tiny bit," and Luna thanks him. "Thanks, Alex, for bringing this, and trust me, she's going to have to thank Prince Julius too," Alex said. He says it looks like she's already met his brother, and she braces herself because she expects. She tells him it all happened by pure chance the last time she slipped into the library, and when he suddenly goes unusually silent, she leans in and asks, "What's wrong?" But he shrugs it off like it's worthless, saying it's nothing at all. Then he leans in and adds. And he blurts out, "So what do you think of my brother?" Then he cuts himself off mid-sentence. He freezes for a split second, then snaps back and says, "You're a lot like a kind, super knowledgeable older brother." Alex leans in and whispers that his brother isn't just smart, he's on a whole different level, knowing stuff even when he was a kid that Alex can't wrap his head around, and then he finally admits it. And it's the cruel truth that if his brother had been healthy, he'd never have been dragged into those brutal barefield straps. He would have been a magnificent crown prince, crowned in glory. And the whole country would have been thriving. Without even thinking, she snatches his hand and swears up and down that it's not true. She tells him, "You're a fine crown prince," the same one who hunted down and caught Barefield, then saved her and the orphanage kids from those poachers. She tells him, "You'll become the crown prince nobody can ever belittle," and she swears Prince Julius wants the exact same thing. Even though she's known Alex for only a short time, she can feel the kindness he's hiding under every rough word, and when he locks eyes on his target, he doesn't blink. He just keeps pushing himself to help others, and she's sure he's meant to wear the crown. And Alex asks if she's saying all this just to hype him up to become king. She answers yes, and it hurts her to watch him break. Out of nowhere, he yanks her into a tight, crushing hug. She leans in and asks what's wrong, and he murmurs that it's all just strange, like one single word from her just instantly unhooks his fear and saves him. Without warning, he blurts out that he likes her, and she freezes for a split second, totally blindsided. Then he begs her to stay in this country right beside him like he can't breathe without her, and he feels. With her nearby, everything finally felt calm and somehow stronger too. Alex's voice, usually packed with confidence, was shaking right now. She replays every tiny moment they've shared in her head and can't stop that soft smile. Then she finally admits it. She likes him too. His eyes pop wide, the surprise melts into something gentle, and both of them break into a shared grin. In that quiet, heartbeat-heavy moment, he leans in and kisses her, and she matches him without hesitation. She's only truly calm when he's around, and somehow, before she even realizes it, she's already craving to do everything for him. And that's the point where she's fallen hard for him, straight from that one moment. Just as everything hits that peak, the egg suddenly starts to crack, shattering the moment in an instant. The white eagle cracks open its shell and bursts into the world, and Luna just freezes, staring at it in pure awe. In awe, she leaned in, whispering about how insanely cute it was, then she whipped around fast like she couldn't wait to show it. She quickly scoops the little bird into her arms, cradling it with care, and gushes that it's the sweetest thing ever. Alex watches the bird's every move and realizes it treats Luna like its own mother. Luna can't stop wondering if this is the same kind of instinct birds have when they rub against their parents. So if she's the mom, then Alex must be the dad. Heat floods Alex's face at the thought, so he immediately tells her, "Don't say that out loud," and Luna swears she'll be careful. She pauses for a breath, then starts stressing over the perfect name for the hatchling. Alex asks if he likes Pepio, but she can't shake the feeling it's too plain, and when the bird lets out those tiny chirps, Luna hears it loud and clear, approval. She gives the bird a gentle grin and tells him it's a pleasure to finally meet him, then she officially names him Pepio. Before she heads out, she thanks you for watching this video. Alex leans in and tells Mina, "I'm gone, keep an eye on Luna for me." Mina beams with pure excitement at the chance to help Luna get ready for the party later, and as Pepillo lets out a little call, Luna points out that he looks lonely. Alex gently strokes the bird's head, whispers that he'll be back soon, and admits he's got to handle palace business before he can return. Luke mutters with a bit of regret that he wasn't there when the eggs hatched, but he's instantly relieved because the hatchling is born healthy and strong, standing there a little F. Prince Gerald's sitting a little way off, and Isabelle flashes a smirk as she leans in. "So, what do you think?" Just like she predicted, Gerald's face twists in outrage and he curses Luna through clenched teeth. Did she dump Farin that fast because he was already waiting in the shadows from the start? That's unforgivable. She really dared to betray him just to chase another man. Isabelle lets out a quiet chuckle. What a damn fool, because that's exactly why he's always been so easy to work with. She leans in and tells him everyone in this country bows to her as the saintess. Then she reminds him she helped Alex, the man beside her, save it all, and says he'll rise up next, because after everything, he's destined to become the crown prince. Grandpa Rungle swears he can *C* it. She's going to become the princess of Eddie Fan through their friendship. But the prince snaps back, seething, "I'm stuck with this," and she's becoming a princess, refusing to let that dream crash and burn. The animals lock eyes on the dresses, and their gazes go huge with pure awe. Luna leans in and asks Mina, "Can I really choose from all these dresses?" Mina smiles and says, "Of course, these are all for you." Luna beams, "Yes, thank you." And with that, Mina and the others get to work, because the queen had commanded them to prepare every single one for the welcome party. She answers and says she'll wear them without hesitation. Then Mina tells her the stone she asked them to prepare is right here, and she can't stop herself from whispering, "It's beautiful, thank you." She's overflowing with joy that she finally got the necklace made from the stone Rin gave her, because when she looks back, that day's meeting was the spark for everything. If she hadn't heard Rin's voice, she never would have ended up meeting Baron nor Alex. The rabbit blurts out if she'll try on every single dress, and the others shove her to hurry along, swearing they can't wait to see her in them. Luna just smiles softly and tells them to wait a second. She reaches to pass Pepillo to Mina, but that little bird locks eyes with her first. With tearful eyes, Papio gapes at her and Luna murmurs, "Don't worry, I've got you, I'll be right there." Mina points out the scary sweet truth. Papio seems to see Luna as its mama. Maybe she says it best, when Papa isn't around, the silence can feel lonely. Luna snaps her eyes to her, startled, and Mina's cheeks flare red as she scrambles to explain she didn't mean it like that. Sylvain just shrugs off the moment and declares that having a papa and mama matters. Then Jean grins and jokes that he's hoping Pepillo gets to meet Alex, the papa, soon. Right away, Luna stiffens and goes death still, eyes popping wide, then snaps at them about whether someone might have overheard in the church, while Mina blurts out a shaky apology, swearing she never meant to eavesdrop. While she was sneaking through with a midnight snack, she just happened to catch their conversation. Jean smirks and says, "With how loud you two were, anyone could have heard it." Meanwhile, the rabbits start bickering like crazy, waving their paws and arguing over whether Luna and Alex kissed or just hugged, while Luna stands there, completely mortified. Mina shoots her a quick reassurance, insisting they're clearly made for each other and nobody could deny it. Then Luna throws her hands up to her face, cheeks blazing with pure embarrassment. Mina pivots the moment, asking if they should grab her dress, then casually drops that Alex always goes for white gowns, so the whole group surges toward the white racks while Luna scrambles to stop them, failing as usual. She's relieved they're taking this in stride, but she still can't shake the fact that she has. She's holding back something huge she hasn't told them yet, and at this pace, it's about to explode. If she doesn't tell them right now, she'll be stuck here and have to leave for good. She's got to speak up. They've got to understand she's Farin's crown prince, and she's been exiled as his former fiancé. She'd never even dated Gerald, yet she spun some lie about why their engagement fell apart. She refuses to spill what she's scared of, because if they lose their cool, she'll hate it. She can't stand holding secrets from the one she loves, so right before the feast kicks off, she steels herself and tells Alex everything. Alec rubs the fuel like it's sacred, grinning as he says he's just so happy he can make it. Luke says Orzel probably won't show up, and Alex fires back. When Luna sent the invite, she warned that he should stay away until the gate gets replaced and the guards finally go more lax, so yeah, that was their whole conversation. Right as the chat rolls on, Alex overhears a group of noble girls whispering, wondering if hosting a feast for Luna is even worth it, and sneering that she's a commoner, even though she's a saintess. Even after she saved the country beside Prince Alexander, people still scoff, then they swear the prince must have been blinded by her, whispering it in the dark. Whisper it to Luke, he'll spot her at the ball, making a total fool of herself as she struts around trying to cosplay an aristocrat, and Luke senses it. Alex's anger surges, and he grabs Alex's arm to restrain him. Alex snaps, furious, barking that they better explain why he's being stopped, while Luke stays cool and tells him he doesn't need to act like this. Every head snaps around as Luna drops down the staircase, Sylvain right beside her. A wave of nerves hits her as the stairs start making her doubt everything, like she might have messed up somehow. Then Sylvain slips his hand into hers and squeezes, telling her she looks stunning, the most beautiful one in the whole place. A rush of pure happiness bursts through him the second he hears his own words. He pushes them forward, reminding her that everyone's already on standby, waiting for them. Her heart pounds like it's trying to break out of her chest, and she pushes her words out fast, demanding that she just needs to talk. Before she can even breathe out one word, a razor-sharp voice slices through the silence from inside the hole. Count Perungal storms in, snapping that Alex can't be fooled. Saved, he snaps that Luna isn't any kind of saintess and blasts her with a vicious insult. Cunning traitor, Alex's expression said it all. His expression hardens into stone, then he tells the Count that if he can't back it up with proof, he won't forgive a single person who dared insult the woman who helped save the country. Count swears he's dead serious, claiming he talked to someone who knows Luna inside out, and Alex starts. They press him for answers, demanding to know who this mystery person even is. Right then, Sylvain suddenly sniffs the air, catching a scent he knows all too well, but he can't get the warning out before Prince Gerald and Isabella crash the scene. Luna snaps back in pure shock. Gerald's face twists with pure outrage as he yells her name at the top of his lungs. Then Alex, still lost, blurts out to Luna whether she knows Farin's crown prince, and she starts to. Isabella starts replying, then snaps right over him, saying Luna was his fiancée until she ditched him and ran off with Prince Alexander. She hammers that Luna abandoned Gerald and fled the country, and Luna just freezes there, wide-eyed and speechless. Luna tries to fight back, insisting the engagement was called off without her even knowing. Then all she can say is, "Thank you, thank you." She only ran into Alex after she left, Gerald snapped with. He refused to believe her, claiming she felt zero remorse over the broken engagement and even left the country on purpose to chase another man. Luna just stood there, totally frozen, disbelief carving every line of her face as she desperately tried to make sense of it. She flinches hard when Alex, in a low voice, finally asks why she never told him a thing, and she snaps back, dead serious, that everything they've been saying is a lie, that she's sure their accusations are pure nonsense, but what is she supposed to do now? She knows she messed up by staying quiet earlier, yet every word she says will sound like a lame excuse, and he won't even spare her a single look. Now everyone despises her. Isabel steps forward, blurts out an apology, then stands her ground and insists every word she says is the absolute truth. Right as she's about to explain, Gerald explodes forward in a furious storm. He snatches her hand and blurts that they're turning back right now, insisting he can't let someone who brought disgrace to Farin stay stranded abroad. Then he shoves her forward, yanking her along as he hammers the same cruel demand. "Go home, confess your sins to that beast." Isabel gasps and groans as he yanks her hand in a brutal twist, then she screams at him to let go, furious at being trapped in this nightmare. She refuses to walk away, no way she's saying goodbye in a moment like this. Her whole body locks up, then a sharp, echoing slap tears through the air. Once Gerald crumples to the floor, clutching his bruised cheek, glaring at Alex with a dazed mix of shock and fury. A wild mix of disbelief and fury hit him at once. His mouth fell open, and he snapped, grilling whether Alex really just punched him. Alec lunges forward and tugs Luna right beside him, then he shoots Gerald a firm look. Sure, maybe Gerald doesn't know every detail of how Luna ended up meeting him, but Alec makes it crystal clear. She's a fiercely strong, endlessly kind woman. He snaps that Gerald is the reason Luna's tears are falling and demands he apologize for how he insulted her. Then Alex fires back, Luna isn't the type of woman who'd ever do the things he's claiming. With a soft touch, he brushes her tears away. He leaned in, swore he'd trust only her side, and begged her to tell him everything, especially if there's something she's been hiding, Luna. Luna fights back her tears, cracking a weak smile as she whispers sorry to him, her relief hitting like a wave. Then she trails off at the part where it says in a fifth. Gerald's rage boils and he yanks his sword up and lunges at them, screaming that they'd better not underestimate him. Then he vows he'll grab Luna by force. Just as he's about to reach her, vicious rose vines burst up out of nowhere, snaring both Isabel and Gerald and yanking them tight to the spot. A glowing circle ignites under all of them, radiating pure dread, and a booming voice rips through the air, saying they just squandered the final chance they were ever given. Sylvain shoots a look the second he hears that voice. It's his father, and Luke stares in shock. He's completely frozen in shock, muttering in disbelief that it can't possibly be semen. There's no way this could be Farin's divine beast. The moment someone says divine beast, the nobles around them instantly start whispering like they've just spotted a ghost. Some swear the thing in front of them looks totally human, while others murmur that divine beasts can disguise themselves in human form. Beast locks eyes with Gerald, and the moment it does, Gerald snaps, furious curses spill out of him. Gerald erupts in a scream, declares himself Farin's crown prince, and orders the beast to know its place, right now. Rage blazing, he screams for Count Barumble to haul him out of there, and Seaman answers right away, I scold, saying Gerald's completely misreading the whole thing, then declares he feels zero guilt for guarding someone as reckless as him. The king of Farin, Seaman tells him, swallowed that one shot with both hands, so Gerald better get it. Does he really understand what happens when you break the vow he swore, and is he ready to pay the price? Did he really forget the oath he swore back then? Say it again, explain. Explains that if Gerald had truly repented for what he did to Luna, that mark on his forehead would have faded on its own, because the thorny vines choking them aren't random. They bloom from the rot of their ugliness and the disrespect souring in their hearts. If their hearts won't budge, then those thorns will never be pried out, no matter what comes next. Then he snaps into action, unleashing his power. The thorns explode forward. As their light starts to vanish, a blazing magic circle erupts under them, Luna's. Luna freezes in shock, mind spinning as she can't believe he pulled off all of this so effortlessly. Realization slams into her. This is the Divine Beast seal. Lynn's powers aren't just stronger, they're on a whole other level, way beyond anything she's ever seen. Seaman snaps his focus to Luna and gently asks if she's hurt, and she blurts that she's fine. Then he starts to. He flashes a tiny, breathless smile, like the weight in his chest finally lifts. Then he remarks that some of his people must have crashed her banquet, and he begs her to forgive him for the chaos they caused. Luna whispers, "So, what happens to us?" And Seaman throws her a calm smile, telling her not to fret, they're still alive, and then he reveals he already sent them back to Farin's temple and locked them in. They vanished, handing their final punishment over to the humans, like a cruel apology. He drops that bombshell he set on granting Luna his blessing, and a war is about to ignite. A warm, glowing light floods over her as he tells her this blessing will shield her even when he's not around. Then, with a sudden honesty, he admits he'd planned to take her with him from the start. And it looks like she's not planning to leave this country anytime soon. Then he whips around to his son and booms, asking if he's gotten stronger since they last met, only for his son to grin and say he wants to stay right by Luna's side, even now that she's finally gotten her father's blessing. He keeps a soft hand on his son's head, warmth showing in his eyes, then admits the truth that the silence will hit him hard. But if this is what his son chooses, he won't stand in the way. Seaman declares it's time to go, but before he leaves, he fires off one last question at the Beastman Prince. He locks eyes with him and straight up demands, "Tell me, do you love Luna?" The prince grips Luna's shoulder and shoots back with ironclad confidence. Of course he does, swearing that no matter what the future throws at them, his feelings won't budge. Luna saved him, and now he's determined to repay her by guarding her with his life from this moment on. Damon vows he'll believe those words, and just like that, he vanishes into the light, disappearing right along with the other two. After that, she shot a letter to her parents to tell them everything that happened, and their reply filled her in on what went down in Farin. After hearing what his son had done, King Farin didn't hesitate. He ripped the crown prince roll away and handed it to his younger son instead. When they raided Isabel's parents' home to figure out her punishment, everything exploded, new crimes surfaced, and it turned out she wasn't just tied to Count Barungal. She helped with the poaching too, using Gerald's position like a shield for every dirty secret. After getting slammed with a crime she couldn't even remember committing, she got berated and attacked for it. Just reliving the truth hurts like hell, but now she has. She has her love right beside her, and her most trusted companion too, so she can't help but hold onto this happiness with her whole heart. A few months later, she wraps a bandage around the animal's wound with steady hands, then leans in and tells him he'll feel way better in no time. The client flashes a grateful smile and thanks her. He shoves a little extra medicine into the woman's hands and tells her to reapply it before she hits the bed, and even after he's crowned princess, he keeps mumbling under his breath, because all she dreams of is opening a tiny clinic inside the church. Rin just grins and says it's totally a Luna move. She doesn't stop there, she insists Luna still always looks full of life, like real happiness is glowing from her. Rue and Sue grin as they tell Jean, "We're the ones who brought the medicine this time." Jean nods, but the real shock hits him hard. Pepillo is enormous now. Even from the forest's edge, you can spot him clear as day. Pepillo dips his head and nuzzles Luna's face, chirping like crazy as he calls out, "Mama." Luna chuckles and says, "Yeah, you've grown a ton, but you still act like a baby." She knew white eagle dragons don't grow slowly once growth season hits, but she never expected him to blow up this fast. Then the door swung open. Buell bursts in with Luke and Alex, and Luna shoots him a shocked look, then asks if he came over to play. Alex says it was just luck, they crossed paths on the way here, but Fuel snaps back fast. Alex was the one who brought him along. The guards who held the castle gates during the Barrafield incident turned that stand into a blazing symbol of peace for Eddie Fan. After Orzel smashed through the gates, he chose to stay right here, standing guard over the castle until someone finally repairs it. Now the unicorns can roam in and out of the city without a care, and the whole town adores them. Then Alex, like he always does, points out that every animal in the area is huddled around Luna, right there, right now, and she explains it. Since Seaman's blessing, the whole pack has been clinging to her more and more. Alex says staring at her right now drags her straight back to the Holy Queen, Luna asks, and he replies. Yeah, she was the hero's wife, the first ruler, and the one who sparked the Eddie fan ages ago, Roses. The divine beasts left her and the hero behind, and the Holy Queen Lydia wielded a power shrouded in mystery. Folklore claimed she was blessed by the phoenix, the divine beast, like Luna was blessed by Seaman, and she can't help but grin as she says, what an amazing story. He's hit with nostalgia, and speaking of that, the phoenix shows up too, even in EGK, because the legendary beasts are straight up unreal. Alex tells her that the royal family are their descendants, and they can trace it all back to them today even. Even the sword he wields, it used to belong to the hero. His eyes light up at that, and he leans in to add the real twist, the phoenix bracelet Lydia once wore. The light in her eyes only blasts brighter, sparkling like it's alive, and yeah, that's the kind of moment that makes a hardcore game otaku's heart race. She blurts out in awe that the hero's sword is real, still out there, and it still exists. He snaps his eyes wide at her reaction, mutters, yeah, and immediately starts wondering if she's really into folklore that deep. Then he adds that he really wants her to finally see Lydia's bracelet someday too. Luke blurts out an apology for crashing their moment, then insists they've gotta hustle back to the palace, right away. They can't let both of them miss the engagement party. Alex says that they're right, and he immediately asks Luna if her parents finally answered her engagement invitation. Luna grins and says yes, both of them accepted with huge joy, and they're all buzzing to travel to Eddie Fan. He fires back, that's perfect, then you've got nothing to worry about, and somehow that makes her tension finally snap. Mina strides in with a wicked grin and tells her a fun dress fitting is waiting, then adds that she won't let her slip away today. She always shows up for the treatment room in her regular clothes like clockwork. Because she's about to become the crown princess, she has to step into the spotlight and wear dresses that scream royal status. She's got to, period. She smiles and nods along, but right as the plan moves forward, she's stuck wondering, are we really allowed to go through with this engagement? Alex, Mina, His Highness, and Her Majesty's all accepted her, but she can feel the backlash coming because not everyone cheers for their engagement. And since she's not Beastman, some people call her bold and disrespectful for daring to stand right beside His Royal Highness. People are whispering that her mysterious power is messing with his wicked judgment. And for the women of this country, it feels like she barged in, stole Alex right out from under them, and they can't stop thinking that, even when they. Prince Alexander makes it back to the castle, and the knights rush up shouting his name. When he sees the panic on their faces, he immediately demands to know what's wrong and if anything happened. The knight tells him that Elsa of the Rashella Duchy has demanded an audience with His Majesty, Luna. Lana can't help but stare, who is Elsa exactly, because they don't toss her out right away. Elsa strides up to the king and queen, her face blazing with fury, and flat out makes it clear she's completely against it. They refuse to let anyone without the royal bloodline take Ediphane's crown princess seat, and that's the video for today. Drop a like, hit subscribe, and comment if you want me to continue with another part.